Chapter 263, Tribulating Heavens, 3. Translator, Translating Novice. Editor, Z0rel. I feel as if I have fallen into an ice cave. Why on earth did she call my name 3 times in front of the owner of heavenly punishment? I swallow hard. And then, nothing happens. It's when I look at her with curiosity. She turns her head away from me and once again takes a praying posture towards the sky, facing the owner of heavenly punishment. And then, whirr, lightning falls from the sky, striking towards Zhongli. Clank. Along with that, I feel as though the invisible chains that were binding Zhongli have been broken. She rises to her feet and exclaims, "On behalf of my master, I, the essence of the great heavenly punishment, shall judge the descendants of the golden deity." Crack. I grit my teeth. Be annihilated. Flash. The sky brightens, and a golden lightning descends. But it's different than before. If the golden lightning that struck Thunder Spirit Island before was terrifyingly large and could be seen from far away, the golden lightning falling now is noticeably smaller in size and feels weaker in energy. The power of each strand of lightning feels no more powerful than the full-force strike of an integration stage cultivator. Kook. The light of that power shines brilliantly above Thundercloud Peak, boasting of its presence. Karung, karurum. The sky vibrates and gradually begins to boil. I realized what I have achieved with the extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique. By sacrificing myself, I had changed the immediate annihilation of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect by the great heavenly punishment into a much slower destruction, starting with those closest to the owner of heavenly punishment, in order. Kook. Wawoom. Dark clouds begin to gather in the sky once again, starting to catch the falling golden lightning. The golden lightning tries to descend, but is caught by the dark clouds and is unable to descend further. While many strands of golden lighting are caught by the dark clouds, it eventually becomes impossible to hold back its entirety, and one of them eventually falls towards Thundercloud Peak. I grit my teeth. Kururu. Light envelopes all 4 directions. John Myung-hoon fails to understand the situation. Within the golden light, everyone except him is turning to ash. Myung-hoon. Even Jin So-hae, whom he is holding, is the same. No matter how much he protects her, no matter how much he holds her, Jin So-hae is burning. Kugugugugu. Even with the power of the heavenly being stage, trying to absorb the heavenly tribulation into himself is impossible. This overwhelming power seems to infinitely pour from the sky, and the speed at which it pierces through John Myung-hoon's defenses and strikes Jin So-hae is faster than he could absorb it. Yeah. No. So-hae. Myung-hoon. Yeah. Don't go. Please. No. So-hae, just hang in there, just a bit longer. It's almost over. Just a bit more. Please, just a bit longer. But that is only John Myung-hoon's wish. Jin So-hae slowly turns to ash. Fading into a pile of ashes, Jin So-hae tells John Myung-hoon, "I love you. Please protect our family." With those words, Jin So-hae disappears from in front of John Myung-hoon. She has become a pile of ash. However, John Myung-hoon does not die. The power of the heavenly tribulation flows endlessly towards John Myung-hoon, causing him to grow stronger even though he wishes not to. As his family dies, John Myung-hoon alone survives and becomes stronger. Yeah. In a situation where he feels like he is losing his mind, John Myung-hoon screams, Yawa, Wawa. As if he had forgotten how to speak, he is in a frenzy. Wawa. And then, a massive will flows into the crazed John Myung-hoon's mind. Pitiful the sandimmer tally ungwillender joyful iblam watch the overmira cluria growth he received shall thizimi timmer talthis shall immortal be when liberateth each time. Decoded in TL notes. The massive will, incomprehensible, violently forces its way into John Myung-hoon's mind. He screams. The truly terrifying part is that this will is causing the celestial energy to change in real time, moving and resetting fate. Following the words of this will, he could not understand. He will be moved to fulfill the fate laid out by the will. Being caught in an incomprehensible fate terrifies John Myung-hoon more than anything. Soon, the hellish heavenly tribulation ceases. Wawoom. John Myung-hoon looks around with a vacant gaze. The sky still shows strands of golden lightning and the dark clouds binding them. And, even higher up, there, the barefoot Zhongli is being drawn towards that being, letting out an ecstatic exclamation. Pazijijik. Zhongli turns into a bolt of lightning and is sucked into the giant eye. Blink. Subsequently, the giant eye covering the sky closes. The terrifying pressure disappears, but John Myung-hoon looks around. It's ash. Everything has turned to ash. Jin Byuk-ho, Jin Rin, Jin Jinshan, Jin Y. And, thud. John Myung-hoon is startled as something in his hand falls onto the ashes. It's a hand. Jin So-hae's hand, fried to a crisp by the lightning. Ah, ah. John Myung-hoon starts to scream. Hoa awa. Only the hand of Jin So-hye, which was perfectly, seamlessly covered by John Myung-hoon's own, remained not turned to ashes but just fried by the electricity. Wah. Yeah. Drip, drip. Tears of blood begin to flow from his eyes. John Myung-hoon wails. Ah, yeah. Weeping tears of blood, John Myung-hoon hears a whispering around him. The voice of lightning, which had been calling out in distress until just a moment ago, had returned to normal. He listens closely. The voice of lightning is imparting knowledge to him. Perhaps because he had directly faced that being just before, he can easily accept the knowledge conveyed by the voice of lightning. The great. John Myung-hoon holds his head and laughs. He is watching over me. That being, the image of that I does not leave his mind. John Myung-hoon rolls his eyes, shouting the knowledge the voice of lightning is telling him. No, it's closer to being engulfed in madness, screaming in agony. The great god of heavenly punishment resides in the distant heavenly domain. They sit upon a throne at the center of the universe, secluded by light. They are waiting for me. They call me. They beckon me. They to me they. Kwang. After a moment of frenzy, John Myung-hoon suddenly begins to pound the ground with his fists. Kwang, kwang, kwang. With the force of a heavenly being stage cultivator infusing spiritual energy into his strikes, the ground rumbles, and Thundercloud Peak begins to crumble. Kugagugagu. John Myung-hoon, along with Thundercloud Peak, crashes to the ground. They took my family, everything. He rages at the sky, howling in agony. That bastard took my everything, my all. Ah, wah. And then it happens. The eyes of John Myung-hoon, which had been filled with madness, are now filled with rage. All madness disappears from his gaze. Simultaneously, John Myung-hoon realizes that the I remaining in his mind has vanished. Ah, I see. Grinding his teeth, John Myung-hoon stands up, his eyes rolled back. This is my fate. Drip, drip. With tears mixed with blood, John Myung-hoon speaks while crying with a trembling voice. This rage, I must quench it. Realizing his fate and having removed the influence of the gaze, John Myung-hoon grits his teeth and says, everything in my way, even if I have to kill. Clench. I will have my revenge. Picking up the fried left hand of Jin So-hye, John Myung-hoon cries out for revenge. Then, a familiar voice comes from behind him. Revenge is not what you should be seeking now. John Myung-hoon turns around. It's Seo Eun-hyun. With a bitter expression, I approach John Myung-hoon, who is crying bloody tears with a crazed expression. You, John Myung-hoon, looking at me for a moment, begins to emit red lightning. You. I calmly look at him and say, calm down. I have something to tell you. If you just spoke properly. Fury has made you incoherent. Nothing can be done in his current state. In an instant, I approach him and grasp his head tightly. Because I limited the heavenly tribulation with the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique, the amplification rate of the heavenly tribulation's power was not high. At best, he is slightly stronger than in his past life. Now, come to your senses, John Myung-hoon. I breathe a dense curse into his head. The curse I imbue him with is the pain replicated from the sensation of 60,000 times that even Seo Huiol couldn't bear, forcing him to disintegrate his consciousness. Such immense pain tears through his mind. Exclamation point. John Myung-hoon flays senselessly, unable to even grasp his thoughts. But I do not stop, until his intent turns from red to pure pain, symbolizing his agony. Until he is so overwhelmed by pain that he forgets even his rage, I pour the curse into his mind. After a while, finally, John Myung-hoon's mind goes blank from the pain, and he reaches a point where he even forgets his rage. Reversal. TSDSSDSSD. I reverse all the curses I had imbued into him with the White Orchid Blessing incantation, nurturing John Myung-hoon's spirit. Soon, are you coming to your senses? I ask, looking at John Myung-hoon as clarity returns to his eyes. And as his consciousness returns, so does his memories. Slowly, rage begins to fill his eyes again. Before he could be consumed by rage again, I bring up an important fact. Listen well, John Myung-hoon. Due to the recent heavenly tribulation, more than 60,000 disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect perished. Not just at Thundercloud Peak, but also in other places where I couldn't stop the lightning tribulation from falling. But you see, my words make John Myung-hoon's face stiffen. Several core formation disciples and chi building disciples, and the absolute majority of chi refining disciples, the vast majority survived. What? Strangely, the heavenly tribulation struck more heavily upon those with higher cultivations. Thus, despite using the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique, the main force of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, so to speak, had mostly died. However, those not considered the main force. Those whom even the heavenly tribulation seemed to show little interest in. The chi refining disciples, or those who were not inside Thunder Spirit Island at that point, have not yet died. Of course, they have not died yet. I read the celestial energy. 20 years. All disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect are fated to die within the next 20 years due to the heavenly tribulation. But it isn't like my past life. In my past life, even though it was said to be 20 years, they all perished within a few months due to the heavenly tribulation. But this time is different. Extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens had succeeded in delaying the celestial energy. There's at least a year or two's worth of time. Kururum. I see the golden lightning and the dark clouds binding them gradually become transparent and then disappear. It's a phenomenon visible as the situation shifts from the plane of chi to the plane of fate. The golden lightning I had captured will continue to cry out to kill the remaining disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect in the plane of fate. But I had taken all the calamities of extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens upon myself. Listen, John Myung-hoon. I understand how you feel about losing your loved ones. No, actually, I might not be able to understand since I can't presumptuously speak about your heart. But, John Myung-hoon, I look at him and say, I too lost my Tao companion, Hong Su-ryong. Yet, there are things that still must be done. From now on, we will take the disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect and flee from the heavenly tribulation. What do you mean? It is just as I have said. We will go to a place where the heavenly tribulation cannot follow. A place where the heavenly tribulation cannot follow. I recall Zhongli's words. A treacherous world where even a distinguished being who threatened the owner of heavenly punishment, a world where even their friend had died. There exists a place where even the owner of heavenly punishment cannot follow. The head realm. From now on, we'll gather the surviving members of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect and descend to the head realm. A dreamlike world where the boundaries of everything are hazy and countless lights traverse. In a certain area of that world, a white-haired woman with bare, white feet kneels before a massive wall. The wall is an endless barrier made entirely of thunder and lightning. It is so vast it might as well have been considered a sea of standing thunder and lightning. The white-haired woman, Zhongli, speaks to the wall. I was able to know its name because it revealed its name to me. Something metaphysical is conveyed to her. Zhongli accepts this will and continues. However, as the Lord has seen, it did not respond to my voice, even though I am backed by the authority of the Lord. Despite calling it 3 times, there was no response. Being by its side, I observed and realized one thing. Zhongli lets her white hair cascade onto the hazy ground. Its name is shrouded in death. It is already a dead being, a deceased walking in the realm of the living. Calling the name of a living to a dead being is bound to fail. Its name is likely already owned by the heavenly venerable of the netherworld. The wall of lightning flickers momentarily. Yes, perhaps the god of the netherworld intends to act through it. Maybe it is even a candidate for his immortal treasure. The Ender? What is that? I have overstepped my bounds. Nonetheless, it was indeed a chilling being. It was extremely unpleasant and terrifying, so much so that I would have destroyed it immediately after regaining my power. However, after considering the heavenly venerable of the netherworld, if by any chance it is their pawn, then I thought it best not to interfere rashly. Thank you. That is why I pleaded not to attack it rashly. And, now that I have returned, the Lord can be at ease. Even if the god of the netherworld seeks to take control of the world again, with my return, the Lord will be able to extend their power outside the prison again. Ah, Lord, I am grateful. Having finished speaking, Zhongli, with an ecstatic expression, stretches her arms towards the wall of thunder and lightning and approaches it. Swoosh. Shortly after, the wall moves, engulfing her as if it is alive. For a moment, the wall of lightning rides. Translator notes. Decoded message is, pitiful and young Ender, blame the miracle you have received. This immortal shall be liberated as thus. This immortal will joyfully watch over your growth. You shall meet this immortal when the time comes. Chapter 264, Tribulating Heavens, 4. Translator, Translating Novice. Editor, Z0rel. Join the Discord for chapter updates and any important news. Is that true, Seo Eunhyun? John Myung-hoon asks me. I nod. I roughly explained to John Myung-hoon the whole story of what had happened up to now. John Myung-hoon seems to be quite fine even after directly facing the owner of heavenly punishment, which is why I could tell him the truth. Fortunately, he doesn't melt away or die, and he doesn't go mad even after talking about the owner of heavenly punishment. Earlier, this guy muttered something about knowing his fate. It seems to be related to that. That's the reason I've been trying to steal the heavenly lightning banner up till now. Is that so? Yes. It's difficult to say how I knew about these pieces of information beforehand. But just like you were born with the heavenly golden thunder body, I also possess something similar. John Myung-hoon has a dazed look in his eyes for a long while. And then, he bursts out laughing in resignation. Ha ha. I see. I understand, Seo Eun-hyun. He screams as if howling, holding his face in his hands. We were fools, weren't we? If I had listened to you. Ha ha. Damn it. Ha ha. Ah. I stand up with a complicated expression. It can't be helped. The important thing now is not that. If you've grasped the situation, get up. All right. John Myung-hoon, drowning in despair and gloom, stands up without falling into madness. He rises above the golden divine heavenly thunder sect and shouts. All survivors, come to this place. Kagugugu. Seeing the lightning energy released by John Myung-hoon, numerous lower lighting disciples begin to gather after a while. Hear me, the golden divine heavenly thunder sect has been annihilated by a being beyond true immortals. Murmurs. And you must have all read the celestial energy, but your lifespans have been reduced to around 20 years, haven't they? That is so. All disciples answer in unison. That fact is wrong. Not 20 years, but all of you will face heavenly tribulation within, at most, 3 years. Murmurs. Then, Grand Elder, what should we do? We have never faced the heavenly tribulation before, and we understand that each one of them is beyond our capability to handle. That's right. Therefore, in the current situation where the Supreme Sect Master and all elders of the sect have disappeared, I, Grand Elder Jin Myung-hoon, command. Kwon. As he stomps his foot, lightning gathers behind John Myung-hoon. A tremendously large palace made of lightning appears behind him. It is one of the techniques of the extinguishing lightning inner heavenly temple and the ability of the red lightning heavenly tribulation method that John Myung-hoon had learned. Most of you have experienced hardships when ascending from the head realm to the bright cold realm, right? That's correct. Just like that time, you will enter this palace, deploy formations, and I will protect you as we descend back to the head realm. With those words, the crowd stirs once again. Grand Elder, then does that mean we have to leave the rich resources of the bright cold realm and return back to the head realm? Yes. Can't you see? Your lifespans are running short. But, even if we return to the head realm, there's no guarantee that we'll definitely live, is there? If you stay here, you will definitely die. But if you return to the head realm, you at least have a slim chance to live. What will you do? Faced with John Myung-hoon's fierce question, the lower lightning disciples, with faces stricken with fear, nod at each other and then say, We will go to the head realm. Good, you've made the right choice. Everyone enter. Form the formation like you did during the ascension. For those who did not experience the ascent or who joined the sect relatively recently, learn from the other disciples. Under his clear and concise command, all disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect enter the palace made of lightning summoned by him. John Myung-hoon gathers the remaining remnants of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, and he reaches out towards the lighting palace. Kagugugu. The palace of lightning compresses and fits perfectly into the size of John Myung-hoon's hand. As he flutters his sleeve, the palace enters within. While he was organizing the disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, I went to the sealing spirit hall where I had been sealed. Next to my sealing stone was the sealing stone of Hong Fan. For now, I took the sealed orb in which Hong Fan resides. It will take time to release his seal, but there's no time for that now. John Myung-hoon. By the way, there are disciples currently assigned to missions outside of Thunder Spirit Island. What about them? I know. I will bring all of them too. However, he speaks with a grim expression. Some sent on missions to the Nether Ghost realm by the Supreme Sect Master cannot be brought back now. I understand. But, he says, we can resonate with the few sent to the True Devil realm with their lightning path method. They might be able to come with us. Let's go. Understood. I move along with John Myung-hoon. Hot. We use the flying escape technique and head outside Thunder Spirit Island to bring back the disciples on missions in foreign lands. Occasionally, there were disciples who recognized me and tried to flee in horror. Since there wasn't enough time to explain individually, I simply caught them and inserted the 5 Elements Blood Curse banner to restrain them and brought them back. Thus, all disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect dispatched to various places of the Human Race Grand Alliance's Cloud Island archipelago were successfully retrieved. Fortunately, the further a place was from where the owner of Heavenly Punishment appeared, the more time was left until the Heavenly Tribulation would fall, so we could be much more relieved about the disciples who were outside. So, John Myung-hoon, how many disciples are left now? 13 disciples dispatched to the True Devil realm. And including one more, 14 remain. What do you mean by one more? John Myung-hoon says as if it's obvious. Disciple Yunjin of Blue Lightning. Isn't he in the True Devil realm? That guy is. A traitor to the sect? John Myung-hoon shakes his head. His ancestor was indeed a traitor, but the descendant himself is undeniably a disciple of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Thus, We will save Yunjin as well and bring him with us. All right. I nod, acknowledging John Myung-hoon's determination. Pot. He and I fly towards the true devil realm. And just when we are flying towards the true devil realm, kurung, flash. Dark clouds seem to swirl in the sky, and suddenly, a massive golden bolt of lightning falls towards me. Kurung. I hastily use endless mountains beyond mountains to block the golden lightning, but immense pain engulfs my entire body, and I truly feel the brink of death. What was that just now? Seo Eunhyun. I silently glare at the sky. It has begun. As a result of slightly twisting fate with the extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique. The price paid is countless ominous calamities. Kagugugu. The pressure bearing down on my entire body intensifies. The calamities of the extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique come in the following manner. The distortions in fate altered by the extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique all come back in the form of calamities. And to endure these calamities, a sacrificial offering is needed. But now, the sacrificial offering is myself. Therefore, I also have to receive the twists and fate altered by the extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique. Then, how do the calamities for twisting heavenly tribulation come? Naturally, the calamities for twisting the heavenly tribulation come as heavenly tribulations. In other words, it's as if I've concentrated all the heavenly tribulations that would pour over the entire golden divine, heavenly thunder sect onto myself. Seo Eunhyun, I asked what happened. At John Myung-hoon's growl, I explained the situation to him. Hearing that, John Myung-hoon asks, is it possible to connect that extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique to me? What? I mean, can I also register as the sacrificial offering? I don't care about heavenly tribulations. It's over if I transform all of them into spiritual power. It's possible. However, it'll take some time. Then that's settled. Let's first think about going to the head realm. Right. We continue to fly towards the true devil realm. John Myung-hoon and I are ready to quickly knock down the 4-axis stage guardians blocking the entrance to the true devil realm and enter. Then let's go quickly. Wait. Hold on, John Myung-hoon. I resonate with the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon on the spot and connect with Kim Yun. Over the past few years, when I was being pursued by the golden divine heavenly thunder sect, I connected with Kim Yun and adjusted the direction of the wonderfully mysterious fortress through her. Through her, I launched an attack on the Earth Tribe's True Dragon Alliance, and thanks to that, Garayan is also still alive. I asked Kim Yun for one more thing. Can you do this for me? Yes, Eunhyun Appa. Of course. I've been waiting for Eunhyun Appa to talk to me for the past 8 years. Really, I'm really happy. I'm sorry, Yuna. Maybe I might not be able to contact you for a few more years. Is that so? She looks sad. It can't be helped. But you'll definitely come back, right? Yes. Then it's okay. I'll spend my time practicing the paired wing dance. Anyway, I've just reached 3 flowers gather at the summit, thanks to the method Eunhyun Appa taught me. Since there are quite a lot of similarities between the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon and the method of reaching 5 energies converging to the origin from 3 flowers gather at the summit, I should be able to reach it without much problem if I invest time. I accelerate my consciousness and briefly chat with her. I want to talk much longer, because there is so much we hadn't talked about for 8 years. But, as sorry as I am for her, we don't have much time left. Then, Yuna, let's meet again later. Yes, Appa. Sut. I wake up from the dream and look at John Myung-hoon. It's done. Now let's go. All right. As we speak and look up at the sky, heavenly tribulation is about to pour down on me again. If I cannot withstand the heavenly tribulation and die, the extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique will be undone, and those who avoided their fate will immediately face the heavenly tribulation. I decide to endure as long as possible and face the heavenly tribulation that strikes this time. Kururung. Is it over? Yes. Let's go. We charge straight for the dimensional gate of the true devil realm. Fortunately, we were soon able to quickly find the 13 disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Most of them were on missions near the first and second occupied territories of the human race, which made them easy to find. Now, the only one left is Yunjin. How do we find Yunjin? I should have perhaps left a mysterious bizarre goo on him. It's then that John Myung-hoon looks in a certain direction and says, Yunjin is in that direction. What? Just go straight in that direction. Is that your ability? Well, the lightning. No, never mind. You wouldn't understand even if I explained. John Myung-hoon tries to explain further, but then shakes his head and stops. Before we leave the human race's occupied territory to find Yunjin, we build a small shrine for the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect within the human race's occupied territory and pay our respects to our numerous ancestors. I also bow to my teacher, Jin Y, and John Myung-hoon does the same. After paying our respects, we immediately leave the occupied territory. The dense devilish energy of the true devil realm welcomes us, and John Monghun flies recklessly towards the place where Yun Jin is said to be, with me following behind him. It seems that the voice of lightning continues to guide him. I look up at the sky once again. The heavenly tribulations are becoming more severe. Until just a while ago, it felt like a strike from a late 4-axis cultivator, but now the power of the heavenly tribulation is gradually approaching the grand perfection of the 4-axis stage. We need to descend to the head realm quickly. Otherwise I might die, and the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique will be undone. Once we find Yun Jin, there will be no time left to delay. Straight away, we'll descend to the lower realm through the Void Spirit Pond. Today is the day to use the prepared Void Spirit Pond, Longevity Formation, and Yuanyu. Translator notes. Had some personal stuff come up, and translating/releasing wasn't my priority or something I wanted to think about. Now that things have settled down, my mental as well, it'll be releasing again. Important note. The donation system of the old is no more, as whoever keeps target reporting burned to the ground every feasible donation platform, and I don't see a point in continuing to do it. Me trying to not split readers was mainly to increase discussions, but with MTL and spoilers about nowadays, it doesn't even really matter. Since there are many who still want to read ahead and are willing to provide financial support to do so, I will be joining the coin system on WeTried and start releasing my stockpile with 1 to 2 advanced chapters per day after we finish figuring things out. The public release rate will remain the same. Chapter 265, Tribulating Heavens, 5. Translator, Translating Novice. Editor, Z0 Rel. Kururung. I fly, hearing the sound of thunder roaring from above. Waljack. Suddenly, a mouthful of blood bursts forth. Is this already my limit? Flash. Kururung. A pillar of light strikes down at me. A heavenly punishment so swift that even John Myonghun struggles to react, shatters my entire body and crushes me. Huduk, Hudadudiak. Aya. Wrapping the formless sword throughout my entire body amidst the heavenly punishment, I push the life force of the demon race to its very limit. Simultaneously, I unleash a sword strike towards the sky. Finally, an invisible sword cleaves through the lightning in the sky. Ho. Once again, I overcame the heavenly tribulation. John Myonghun is clenching his teeth, watching by my side. Co Eun-hyun, include me in that sacrificial offering. Otherwise, you won't last. Can't last. I suddenly look at my arm. Pitch black. Truly pitch black. How many heavenly tribulations have there been? Heading towards Yun Jin, I can't even think anymore. I had Yuanyu activate its devilish arts to absorb the devilish energy of the true devil realm, continuously transferring the accumulated damage to Yuanyu whenever there was time. Yet I have still come to this state. Now, I don't even have the brain power left to calculate the strength of the heavenly tribulations. Everything just feels numb. Let's go, John Myonghun. John Myonghun looks at me, seemingly wanting to say something, but then closes his mouth and starts flying again. He's surprisingly worried about me. No, it isn't worry. It's guilt. From John Myonghun's intent, I can feel the despair of not being able to save the sect, the regret of not trusting me, and the hatred towards the heavenly tribulation piling up. Probably, if I were to be on the verge of death, he would try somehow to inhale my heavenly tribulation. Of course, since it had become my heavenly tribulation. The moment John Myonghun starts to consume that heavenly tribulation, it will never end from that point on. Knowing this, John Myonghun also remains silent. John Myonghun. What? Just keep looking forward. Of course I will. I speak as I watch John Myonghun leading the way. Flash. But before John Myonghun can finish his reply, once again, golden lighting falls towards me. Arururung. This time, I use the lightning, predicting I to counterattack the golden lightning more proactively, driving it away. Quajajijik. In the process, another golden lightning sweeps across my body. Nonetheless, I succeed in driving away the heavenly tribulation once more. You? John Myonghun. I turn and speak to John Myonghun, who is looking back. Look ahead. Until Yun Jin is completely saved, I absolutely will not die. All right. John Myonghun seems to clench his teeth, then moves forward as he was. With half of my face melted and flowing down, I watch John Myonghun and follow behind him. There's no more power for regeneration on my body. I need to gather my energy even in such times to prepare against the heavenly tribulation. Let's prepare for death. Though I didn't tell John Myonghun, I am wrapped in the formless sword of treading heavens, and continuously using foolish old man moves mountains. With every encounter with the heavenly tribulation, with every resistance against the heavenly tribulation, with every cleaving of the lightning, bit by bit, the power accumulated inside my colorless glass sword from clashing with the heavenly tribulation is raging. After obtaining demon beast methods and treading heavens, the efficiency of using foolish old man moves mountains has greatly increased, And having you on you means that when my life hangs by a thread and my spiritual veins are intensely pressured, I can drive the shock to you on you through curse techniques. I have already given up on living further. However, even amidst this, I am frantically using my mind, accelerating time. The acceleration effect of treading heavens is insufficient, so I have to operate the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon alongside it to maximize acceleration. I'm almost there. I had determined the direction with sudden enlightenment. Meanwhile, I have been imprinting my martial arts upon the world to the extent of changing the world to fill up gradual cultivation. Just a little more. The end of my frantic accumulation of martial arts is now almost at its peak. Far away, it feels like I can see the high ground. Just a little more. Following John Myung-hoon, I awaken even more tension in my body and soul, groping for the next step. What I have been trying to reach beyond treading heavens can be explained as follows. A blind man must fully perceive the form of an elephant. I had realized the direction of where the elephant is through sudden enlightenment, and through gradual cultivation, I have been continuously engraving the shape of the elephant in that direction. Reaching beyond treading heaven means, as a blind man, after groping and touching the shape of the elephant, drawing an elephant identical to it by myself. Of course, an elephant drawn by a blind man cannot be identical to the original. Therefore, each blind person draws their uniquely shaped form and gives them different names, calling it an elephant. This is the manifestation of the heart tribe. Boom. With my face melted and no longer able to see forward, I look up to the sky and swing my colorless glass sword. I faintly feel through the tip of my sword the splitting of the heavenly lightning falling towards me. John Myung-hoon is, as instructed, only looking forward. I can feel it. The speed of the heavenly tribulation striking down is accelerating, and the magnitude of the power within the heavenly tribulation is growing. However, my enlightenment is also gradually reaching completion in proportion to the heavenly tribulation. Swirling, whirling. As the heavenly tribulation strikes down, I momentarily stop and draw circles on the spot with my footwork. Simultaneously, I very naturally channel power into my sword and raise it towards the lightning. Bang. That's all it takes. Just that is enough to feel the heavenly tribulation splitting apart. I can no longer see or feel anything. My eyes have turned into a liquid, and my skin has melted away, causing me to lose 2 of my senses. Soon, it seems I won't even be allowed to smell as my entire face might melt away. Kurung. As expected, a second heavenly tribulation strikes down soon after, lashing out at me. Finally, my face completely melts away, and apart from a faint sense of hearing, I become unable to feel anything. A world where all 5 senses have completely disappeared. A space of nothingness. With all the energy for regenerating my body concentrated at the tip of my sword, I swing it. And thus, sitting in front of a canvas, I begin to draw the elephant I had been feeling out all this time. Boom, boom. My sword is the brush. With each strike of the heavenly tribulation, a stroke is drawn, starting to depict an elephant on the canvas. John Myung-hoon suddenly remembers Seo Eun-hyun's words to only look forward. What in the world? His words were so full of resolve that it was impossible to refuse. Therefore, John Myung-hoon decided to fly forward, just looking ahead. However, the sounds coming from behind inevitably makes John Myung-hoon want to look back. What are you doing back there? Pieing, pieing, pieing. The sound of something thin slicing through the air. No, even clearer than that, as if the sound of a single water droplet falling into a tranquil lake had been finely crafted. Such a strange sound started to continuously come from behind him. But what truly terrifies John Myung-hoon is something else. Starting from Zhongli's voice, John Myung-hoon realized he can hear the voice of lightning. This new sense he had acquired must have the ability to hear the voices of all kinds of lightning. Since Zhongli is a kind of lightning, he had been hearing its voice all along. But now, a strange voice began to reach John Myung-hoon's ears. Thump, thump. What is it? What on earth is it? John Myung-hoon does not dare to look back, because from behind him, there is literally the sound of numerous people bustling coming through. Behind the clear sound emitted by Seo Eun-hyun, the voices of countless people are striking John Myung-hoon's ears in the form of the voice of lightning. Feeling as if billions of mouths had sprouted all over Seo Eun-hyun's body and are chattering, John Myung-hoon clenches his teeth. However, he does not look back, as per Seo Eun-hyun instructed. There must be some reason. If not believing in him has led to this situation, then from now on, he must believe. Thinking so, John Myung-hoon accelerates towards the location of Yunjin. Gradually, the speed and frequency of the heavenly tribulations chasing after Seo Eun-hyun and John Myung-hoon increases. Now, the heavenly tribulation is striking Seo Eun-hyun almost once every breath. Moreover, the power contained in the heavenly tribulation has grown to a point where it's no longer conceivable. But strangely, Seo Eun-hyun is easily slicing through the heavenly tribulation. With the minimum effort for maximum effect, he is performing his sword dance, yet still keeping pace with John Myung-hoon, who is flying straight ahead. And, unbeknownst to both Seo Eun-hyun and John Myung-hoon, a faint milky white mist is emanating from Seo Eun-hyun's body. The potential of immortal beast Seo Eun-hyun is gradually blending with the formless sword that envelopes his entire body. Both Seo Eun-hyun of the Earth Tribe and Seo Eun-hyun of the Heart Tribe are unknowingly becoming one under the heavenly tribulations. From Seo Eun-hyun's body, a thunderous sound similar to the heavenly tribulation is gradually emanating. Perhaps the numerous voices that John Myung-hoon heard are that. Seo Eun-hyun's formless sword, becoming similar to the heavenly tribulation, mixed with his power of earth. Seo Eun-hyun's immortal beast power has connected to his canvas of myriad forms and connections. The world Seo Eun-hyun sought to imprint is his sincerity, entire heart. And sincerity is Seo Eun-hyun's everything. Indeed, Seo Eun-hyun has always intended to imprint his entire being onto the world. Boong, boong, boong. Jong, jong, jong. Seo Eun-hyun's sword dance speeds up. As the speed and power of the heavenly tribulation intensified, at some point, Seo Eun-hyun's speed began to increase even faster. And finally, it's here Seo Eun-hyun. John Myung-hoon has found the place where Yun-jin is staying. This place is. John Myung-hoon looks troubled. The land had now become Penglai Palace's territory, a place once controlled by Seo Eun-hyun, where he had been plotting something. Somewhere below, Yun-jin is hiding. What is going on? One of the law enforcers of Penglai Palace asks John Myung-hoon on the territory of Penglai Palace. From within the territory of Penglai Palace, one of the law enforcers asks John Myung-hoon. John Myung-hoon speaks. There is a disciple of my sect inside. I apologize, but I just need to take one person out, so can I quickly go in and come back out? Excuse me, but which sect are you from? I am a Grand Elder of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Ah, the new sect that the higher-ups have been paying attention to recently? The law enforcer's tone changes as soon as he recognizes John Myung-hoon's affiliation. Why should I let you people in? Is there a prior agreement? There isn't. At that, the law enforcer of Penglai Palace speaks with a visibly displeased tone. You? I don't know who you are, but this land belongs to the great Penglai Palace. Even if your sect has been getting some attention from above recently, our Penglai Palace is a distinguished upper sect and riffraff like you have no place to. Shut up. Then die. Quarum. John Myung-hoon charges towards the heavenly being stage law enforcer of Penglai Palace, who was trying to say something. A spear of red lightning shatters the golden core of the heavenly being stage law enforcer in one strike, blowing his body apart. The law enforcer's nascent soul flees in utter panic, and John Myung-hoon gnashes his teeth and shouts. Since arguing with politeness is a waste of time, from now on, anyone who blocks my path will be killed. Everyone watching, get lost. As John Myung-hoon exudes killing intent, disciples from various places of the Penglai Palace's territory appear and surround him. You? No matter how much the higher-ups have favored your sect recently, you dare to kill a disciple of Penglai Palace, even a law enforcer at. Splat. Bastard, what are you doing? Killing another heavenly being? How dare you? The blood debt of the great Penglai Palace will be paid dearly by your golden divine heavenly thunder sect. Boom. RTOC. Attack all at once. John Myung-hoon begins to slaughter the heavenly being stage cultivators of Penglai Palace without any hesitation. Over 40 heavenly being stage cultivators attack John Myung-hoon all at once. John Myung-hoon clenched his jaw, the veins on his face bulging. These fools who don't know their place. If they block the way, he reaches out his hand, and a spear of red lightning appears in his left hand. John Myung-hoon grabs the lightning spear and swings it around. Red lightning heavenly tribulation. I said I'd kill them all. Quarum. Lightning shoots out from the spear like a tsunami, sweeping everything in its path. The 40 heavenly being stage cultivators are thrown backwards, and the mountain range behind them is pierced through, creating a path. John Myung-hoon spits out with an annoyed look on his face. Do you not see the one dancing with his sword while being struck by heavenly tribulation behind me? Stupid fools. John Myung-hoon sneers and heads towards the basin beyond the mountain range. As he arrives, his gaze turns towards one side. Deep underground, John Myung-hoon hears the voice of lightning whispering from that place. We've arrived. Quarum. The spear of lightning appears in his hand again. John Myung-hoon plunges the lightning spear down. Kururum. A pillar of light made of lightning illuminates the surroundings. It looks as if a red pillar is shining in the sky, filled with dark, devilish energy of the devil realm. Shortly after, a giant passage leading underground appears in front of John Myung-hoon, and he jumps into the passage without looking back. Whoosh! John Myung-hoon arrives at a giant crystal cave. Covering the crystal cave are layers upon layers of formations numbering in the thousands, millions, billions. This is, as John Myung-hoon is stunned in front of the crystal cave. A clear voice rings out. John Myung-hoon. No, Seo Eun-hyun is even behind you. No, in your arms. Is that from the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect? The energy inside looks like disciples from there. From within the formation barrier, a woman steps out. Her hair dyed black and white. She looks up at John Myung-hoon with her arms crossed and asks, "What's going on, John Myung-hoon?" John Myung-hoon immediately knows. The person in front of him is not the Yun-jin he knows. The voice of lightning is telling him. That person is the traitor from the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect from 40,000 years ago. Her name is Jin Wei. You? However, John Myung-hoon, instead of condemning the traitor in front of him, states his original intention rigidly. Bring out Yun-jin. I plan to descend to the head realm with Yun-jin from now on. Humph. This young one, talking to the ancestor of the sect with such disrespect. If you beat around the bush one more time, I'll kill you. At John Myung-hoon's blunt words, Yun-wei chuckles awkwardly. This guy really. Well, all right. You've come at just the right time. Come inside first. Since Seo Eun-hyun was captured by you, I've been hiding here, concealing my energy for years. I was managing to hold out, but recently, the celestial energy strangely changed, and I was curious about the situation. Flash. At that moment, a heavenly tribulation strikes down towards Seo Eun-hyun, who follows behind John Myung-hoon, scattering bright light in all directions. Quarum. Alongside it, a giant pillar of light plunges down from above John Myung-hoon towards the ground. The pillar of light strikes Seo Eun-hyun and collides directly with the formation barriers Yun-wei had set up. The formation barriers crumble like brittle straw, and Yun-wei dodges backwards in shock. Kururung. After the heavenly tribulation subsides, there remains a charred figure. Seo Eun-hyun. What? John Myung-hoon screams out Seo Eun-hyun's name, but the charred figure does not respond, as even his face had completely burned away. Yun-wei quickly forms a hand seal seeing this. Kagugugu. Simultaneously, the formation barriers spread around activate. Since you were captured, Penglai Palace has been busy trying to take control and analyze your formations. Fortunately, they haven't found my formation barriers or discovered me. Anyway, they didn't dismantle the formations, so I've been able to gather plenty of life force. Kalalalak. As Yun-wei forms a seal, golden light from the dragon vein flows into Seo Eun-hyun. Seo Eun-hyun's charred body is restored in an instant. Blink. I slowly open my eyes. It feels like I had been dreaming a long dream. And then, I realize that I have almost completed drawing the elephant. This place is. I look around. Yun-wei is standing in front of me, and the surroundings are filled with a crystal cave shining with crystal light. In the distance, a lake that transparently reflects the other side is visible. It's the Void Spirit Pond. Hiya. Yun-wei seems to want to explain something, but I shake my head to stop the explanation. I feel like I understood the situation just by observing her intent. I thought she had run away, but unexpectedly, she had been hiding and keeping her loyalty till the end. Boom. I leap into the sky and thrust my sword towards the descending heavenly tribulation again. The heavenly tribulation is cleaved apart. Tot. After landing back on the ground, I look at Yun-wei and John Myung-hoon with a profound gaze. Seo Eun-hyun, you. It's okay, John Myung-hoon. Everything turned out well, didn't it? No, you almost died. It's fine. More importantly, this is the Void Spirit Pond, isn't it? Yes. Yun-wei responds. I heard the gist from John Myung-hoon. We don't have much time, so I'll ask briefly. Do you have the Heavenly Lightning Banner or not? No. Has the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect fallen? Not yet. I see. But you're still going to descend to the head realm. Of course. Seeing my eyes, Yun-wei pauses for a moment before speaking. John Myung-hoon didn't ascend from the head realm, so it will be difficult for him to find it. Take out your blood body. From now on, I will guide you to the head realm. I silently take out Yuan-yu and once again swing my sword towards the descending heavenly tribulation. Swoosh. As I swing my sword, I realize that my power of an immortal beast is intertwined with my sword. And the power of the immortal beast is intertwined with the canvas of myriad forms and connections, which in turn is a technique of the Heaven tribe. I feel as if heaven, earth, and heart are all entwined together. Although I had practiced these in parallel before, I have never felt as perfectly unified as today. What is this feeling? Yun-wei emerges from Yun-jin's body in front of me and enters Yuan-yu. Creak. Simultaneously, she begins to forcibly align Yuan-yu with herself using her consciousness at the 4-axis stage. John Myung-hoon quickly puts Yun-jin into his compressed space, and Yun-wei starts to forcibly amplify Yuan-yu's cultivation within Yuan-yu's body. Quajijijik. An immense lightning power bursts from Yuan-yu, and in an instant, Yuan-yu's cultivation surges from the nascent soul stage to the heavenly being stage. However, Perhaps due to the rapid increase in cultivation, Yuan Yu's body begins to disintegrate. But as soon as Yun Wei forms a seal with Yuan Yu's body, the longevity formation activates. Kagugugu. The power of the longevity formation flows into Yuan Yu, sustaining his disintegrating body with tremendous life force. Once Yuan Yu's body is restored, Yun Wei once again forcibly aligns the wavelengths of consciousness with him. Yuan Yu's body begins to collapse again, repeating this process several times. How many times did I fend off the heavenly tribulation? How much time has passed? Finally, Yun Wei successfully takes over Yuan Yu's body. Kugugugugu. A clear heavenly being stage presence is felt from Yuan Yu. Pajik, pajajijik. Simultaneously, Yuan Yu's body, which had been a mix of yin and yang, becomes a complete female body. After all, I prefer it when things are certain like this. Yun Wei smirks and looks back and forth between me and John Myung-hoon. Then, we're going to the head realm now. We nod without saying anything. Yun Wei grabs both mine and John Myung-hoon's hands and charges towards the void spirit pond. John Myung-hoon and I layer our energy against the spatial pressure. The next moment, cool, we enter a giant space of darkness. This is the outskirts of the true devil realm. But just then, kururung. From afar, it seems as though the heavenly tribulation is arising from within the true devil realm. It appears to chase me even outside the true devil realm. But perhaps due to being outside the realm, the heavenly tribulation is noticeably slower in its pursuit. Wawum. Yun Wei, paying no heed to the heavenly tribulation, stretches out her hand into the void and grasps some kind of flow. This flow becomes a thread linking Yun Wei to a distant place. She holds onto this thread and, with two additional arms sprouting from behind her, begins to fly, holding on to me and John Myung-hoon. Kururung. Eventually, a massive heavenly tribulation is shot towards me again. Chalak. The hand that Yun Wei uses to hold me turns into a rope made of flesh and wraps around my waist to facilitate my movement. After expressing my gratitude with a nod, I look directly at the heavenly tribulation charging towards me. From the outside of the world, the sight of lightning strands reaching out towards me from the inside is indeed a peculiar scene. Feeling an indescribable emotion, I face the heavenly tribulation. In that state, slowly, very slowly, I swing my sword to match the speed of the lightning. Boom. And my sword, aligning with the speed of the lightning, cuts towards it. I know. I feel it. At this moment, the elephant drawn by the blind man is completed. The sword forms I had swung billions of times feels imprinted within my hand and throughout this entire world. I look at the elephant I had drawn on the canvas. The elephant's name is Seo Eun-hyun. Boom. The next moment, I find myself already slicing through the heavenly tribulation. Lightning speed. Kururum. From my entire body, from the formless sword I am swinging. Thunderous cries ring out, like lightning itself. It isn't an illusion that the world seems to have stopped. It's me, moving nearly at the speed of lightning. I wrap colorless lightning around my entire body, elevating the heart I had been dedicated to in my martial arts. The name of this heart is sincerity, full heart, / simultaneously, true heart. My all-out, truth, is encapsulated at the tip of my sword. At the same time, the sincerity I had engraved becomes another self and starts moving on its own. The formless sword gains life. Kururum. Certainly, it's a heavenly tribulation that I would have never been able to block before completion. But the formless sword, unfazed, slices through the heavenly tribulation. The tribulation imposed by the heavens and the tribulation imposed by humans collide one after another from outside the world. The tribulation of the heavens does not cease with just one. They begin to strike endlessly towards me. The interval which had been shortening now reaches a point where it enters a split second. Kagugugu. Scorching through the immense darkness, the heavenly tribulation incessantly pours down on me like rain. Can I block them all? Boom. But then, the formless sword, residing within the colorless glass sword, cries out. Cut. That alone is enough. I entrust my body to the formless sword, endlessly performing the sword dance while cutting through the heavenly tribulations. The tribulations grow stronger and faster, but I continue to cut through them without care. Furthermore, foolish old man moves mountains has yet to cease. I too continue to grow stronger, but my body is increasingly struggling to endure. What should I do? Cut. Once again, the formless sword gives the same answer. I smile. I gather all the turbulent flows of power running through my entire body into one sword strike. Then, without hesitation or stray thoughts, just cut. Kururum. Once more, I laugh as I cut through the lightning. Not alone, but together with the formless sword. Kugugugugu. Seo Eun-hyun and John Myung-hoon. And the flow caught by Yun Wei's group begins to speed up. Yun Wei, holding onto the flow, rapidly heads downward while looking upwards. Above, Seo Eunhyun is endlessly performing his sword dance, becoming even stronger. What in the world is that? Yunwei is startled each time Seo Eunhyun swings his sword, continuously growing stronger and amplifying his power. Is he becoming infinitely stronger? Is his body even able to withstand it? We need to gather energy to avoid attacks from monsters as we move to the lower realms for at least the next 3 days. That is when. Twitch. Yunwei heightens her alertness. This momentum, at least a 4-axis stage? The space between dimensions. The void seen by cultivators during ascendance. The interdimensional void. Monsters without intelligence occasionally appear in this place called the interdimensional void, commonly known as monsters of the dimensional rift. These monsters, lacking any intelligence and sometimes displaying bizarre abilities, often capture and consume ascending cultivators, making them a subject of caution among such cultivators. And Yunwei senses something terrifying ascending from below, towards them. It's a gigantic golden pung bird. As Yunwei frowns and begins to prepare to counter the monster. Flash. The pung bird simply brushes past Yunwei. What? When? However, the problem is that Yunwei didn't feel the pung bird passing by her at all. It had passed by without her realizing it. Fortunately or unfortunately, the pung bird does not hunt them. It merely grazes past Seo Eunhyun alarmingly and ascends towards above. What was that? It's when Yunwei feels something odd. Whoosh. She strangely feels the flow she had caught speeding up. What? The attraction got stronger? It's from the head realm. Something is strongly calling one of us by fate. She shows a look of delight. Kids, rejoice. We got lucky. Kugugugugu. Simultaneously, the trio begins to cross the interdimensional void at a tremendous speed. I was expecting it to take about 3 days, but now we have just 30 seconds left. Everyone, brace for the impact against the dimensional barrier. The next moment, Gwa. The 3 of them hit something massive like a wall. But in the next moment, they pass through the wall and enter within. Whoosh. A burst of blue light greets them. John Myung-hoon frowns at the infinitely sparse spiritual energy, but relaxes his expression, feeling a familiar energy. Yunwei also looks down with a nostalgic expression. Seo Eunhyun, who had been blocking the descending heavenly tribulation from above, finally stops his sword dance. At last, the endless heavenly tribulation that had been striking down ceases as it could no longer follow them. Seo Eunhyun's gaze turns downwards. Shattered Heaven Peak. They had landed at the edge of Shattered Heaven Peak, located at the western end of the head realm where the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect was originally situated. This was where the Heavenly Lightning Banner was once originally kept. Thump, thud. The eastern edge of the head realm. Far beyond the tribal nations to the east of the heaven-treading desert, across the sea, protected by the World Shield Force, the world's end. There, a man in black attire, with only an old saber at his waist, is pounding on the world's end with his fist. Suddenly, he looks towards the west. Translator notes, hype. Chapter 266, Tribulating Heavens, 6. Translator, Translating Novice. Editor, Z0 Rel. Finally, the head realm. Yunwei and I almost simultaneously slumped to the ground. Rustle, rustle, at the summit of Shattered Heaven Peak. There, we touched the land of the head realm for the first time in a long while. Though it's a place I missed, it seems even more nostalgic to Yunwei, perhaps because it's literally her birthplace. I never even imagined I would set foot on this land again in my lifetime, haha. It feels surreal. Is that so? This place is the head realm. John Myung-hoon looks around with a dazed expression. Understandably for John Myung-hoon, his memories of the head realm are probably limited to just a few days spent on Ascension Path, so it must feel awkward. But at the same time, there's a glimmer of anticipation in his eyes. The 3 of us just sit there for a while, chewing over a faint hope. Thud, thud. I stand up, dusting myself off, and say, let's get up. You know it's not over yet. You heartless guy. Damn it. Yunwei and John Myung-hoon grumble as they get up from their spots. We look up at the sky. The celestial energy is telling us. The heavenly tribulation is not over yet. That is the case. The heavenly tribulation sent by the owner of heavenly punishment followed us even to the head realm. However, Yunwei and I can afford to smile. Perhaps because the head realm is indeed a special place. The number and power of the heavenly tribulations that were predetermined seems significantly reduced. If the original heavenly tribulation's power was formidable enough to challenge even a star-shattering stage cultivator's strike, the power of the current heavenly tribulation, all combined, is clearly only at the level of a grand perfection integration stage of strength. Moreover, since it took time for the heavenly tribulation to follow us to the head realm, it will only start striking after 3 hours. In other words, we had bought ourselves about 3 hours' time. Yunwei-nim. As you can see, we have 3 hours left. The remaining power of the heavenly tribulation is altogether at the level of the grand perfection integration stage. If such a tribulation strikes the head realm directly, it will shatter the whole realm. I look at her, speaking with certainty. Is there no way to deal with it? There is one, albeit a slim possibility. What is it? The consoling lightning ritual. Excuse me. I ask again, puzzled. The consoling lightning ritual is a traditional festival handed down among the mortals of Shengzi, isn't it? Was the consoling lightning ritual also cut off 40,000 years ago, and the mortals have been continuing its legacy? They really do a variety of things. Yunwei clicks her tongue as if finding it absurd. So how is the consoling lightning ritual transmitted among the mortals? In Shengzi, it's conducted once a year on a day when the lightning and thunder are particularly fierce, as a ceremony to console the thunder and lightning. Yes, that's it. Excuse me. Mortals might have been conducting the ritual without understanding its purpose, but if you infuse it with magical power, it changes everything. Originally, the consoling lightning ritual was indeed used to console lightning. It was quite effective in soothing the heavenly tribulation, weakening its power, and aiding in the advancement of one's cultivation realm. Yunwei continues her explanation. In simple terms, the consolation ritual has the effect of weakening the heavenly tribulation. So even that power, at the level of the grand perfection integration stage, can be scattered and weakened, allowing you to withstand it. She speaks, looking at John Myung-hoon. First, bring out the disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Even if they are disciples of the lower lightning, they are cultivators who have practiced the lightning path method. And the more people in a ritual, the better. John Myung-hoon nods and clasps his hands together. Crackle. As he brings his hands together, lightning sparks between them. In the midst of the lightning, a seal of lightning appears. John Myung-hoon summons the seal and floats it into the air, where it expands massively. From within the enlarged seal, the lower-ranked disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect emerge, grimacing as they breathe in the air of the head realm. Apparently, they are uneasy about having left the dense spiritual energy of the bright, cold realm for this place. But before they have time to settle their minds, Yunwei continues with her commands. Do all of you know about the consoling lightning ritual? Since Yunwei is inhabiting Yuan Yu's body, she is not wearing the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect's uniform, but a blood robe. Thus, the disciples look bewildered at first sight of her. However, Yunwei scowls and stomps her foot. Kagugugu. A giant taiji symbol swirls in the sky, and thunderous clapping resounds everywhere. I asked if you know it. At this, one of the disciples who seemed to have the highest cultivation among them speaks up. Yes. Before I became a cultivator, I mingled with the mortals and participated in the consoling lightning ritual. Good. How many of you know about the consoling lightning ritual? At that, all the disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect from the head realm, except for those native to the bright cold realm, raise their hands. The number seems to be around 30,000. Yunwei then instructs a few of them to conduct the consoling lightning ritual on the spot, observing them as they perform. Seeing their performance, Yunwei nods and says, Everyone, from now on, we will conduct the consoling lightning ritual towards the sky, understand? Yes. From now on, you will go to the locations I designate, take your positions there, and perform the consoling lightning ritual just as you normally would. Yes. Following Yunwei's command, everyone moves in an orderly manner to their positions for the consoling lightning ritual. She then begins drawing something on the ground at Shattered Heaven Peak. It's the three powers: heaven, earth, man. When I signal, you two ascend onto this formation respectively. What kind of formation is this? Seo Eun-hyun, from now on you are earth. What? John Myung-hoon, from now on you are heaven. I will be at the human position, mixing your heaven and earth energies as I assist with the energy of the consoling lightning ritual. As she speaks, her hands continuously move, manipulating the heaven and earth spiritual energy to set up the formation. The veins of the formation align perfectly with the directions to which she had sent the disciples for the consoling lightning ritual, confining it within a giant formation. Such incredible skill in formation setting. Truly, as one would expect from someone who had lived for 40,000 years, she is versatile. Yunwei continues to set up the formation and explains. This taiji formation is designed to allow the two of you to exchange powers, enabling you to combine your strengths swiftly and draw out an even stronger force. For now, Seo Eun-hyun, quickly include John Myung-hoon and me as offerings in the sacrificial offering. What? Are you pretending not to know? It's transmitted that John Myung-hoon's heavenly golden thunder body can absorb some of the heavenly tribulation. I even went as far as being a candidate for sect leader. Don't you know that? I understand about John Myung-hoon, but why Yunwei him? Listen well. From now on, We will absorb the spiritual power transformed from lightning by John Myung-hoon. That is, his spiritual power through this Taiji formation and channel it into your body according to my guidance. Do you understand, Seo Eun-hyun? Is that possible? I ask, surprised. She responds nonchalantly. It's possible. Because it's me. Out of curiosity, I ask her, if that works, could I possibly reach the heavenly being stage? No, that's impossible. The efficiency of the Taiji formation is too poor. You are placed at the position of Earth just to reduce John Myung-hoon's burden and disperse the heavenly tribulation as much as possible. The original purpose of this formation is not to absorb each other's powers, so it can't be helped. Yes, well, I understand. It seems that the transfer of spiritual power is incredibly inefficient, nearly 1 in 1,000. However, even that small amount of spiritual power will be greatly helpful, so I gladly accept it. Then, let's set up the formation. Okay, first, both of you stand facing each other. I stand facing John Myung-hoon. She begins to create additional formations beneath our feet. This formation will connect you and John Myung-hoon. We look at each other. Although we disliked each other, we had grown together and finally came to a strange relationship where we could understand each other. We don't speak, but it seems as if I can hear his voice clearly. Let's do our best in our respective roles. It's when we make that promise to each other. Is that so? Is there nothing I can help with, miss? With such a vague understanding of formations, you can't help me. Oh, and then, in a moment, I rub my eyes. Suddenly, the clouds that stretched from the distant east to here are split in half. A young man in black martial attire, with long hair fluttering, has his hand on Yunwei's shoulder. His brown eyes shimmer with a golden glow as he removes his hand from Yunwei and speaks. Overwhelmed with the joy of seeing him after such a long time, I can't help but shout out. Young-hoon Hyung-nim. Ah, Deputy CEO. Section Chief John. Long time no see. Huh. I'm excited, but Kim Young-hoon addresses us by our job titles. Then I remember that in this life, he doesn't know me well. Oh, I see. I'm thrilled to see Young-hoon Hyung-nim, but at the same time, I'm a bit saddened by the realization that he doesn't know me. John Myung-hoon looks confused, not understanding my words. What are you talking about, Seo Eun-hyun? This man is Director Kim Young-hoon. Oh, John Myung-hoon, how have you been? Duh. John Myung-hoon shivers as he hears Kim Young-hoon's familiar tone, realizing it's the same way Kim Young-hoon always greeted him in the mornings. No Director Kim, how come? Haha, that's not important. Have you all been well? I laugh heartily as I look at Kim Young-hoon, who is happy to see us. I smile faintly at Kim Young-hoon. Have you been well, you say? Have I been doing well all this time? Countless cycles of memories pass by. They were really relentless cycles without rest. Each life was incredibly difficult, but I never felt that any of them were wasted. Certainly. Yes, I have been well. I must have been well. Kim Young-hoon grins and reaches for his waist. Good. Then, it seems like you two have come here and somehow grown stronger as well. When men meet, they should converse with blades, shouldn't they? John Myung-hoon seems unable to understand how much Kim Young-hoon had changed, but I understand his martial spirit and give a wry smile. I'm sorry, Hyung-nim. That won't be possible. Naturally, I too am itching madly to try. When will such an opportunity come again in the next life? I look at the line of clouds that I assume Kim Young-hoon had sliced through. Far away, from the east, the marks continue endlessly. Not just that, but even the flow of spiritual energy is severed, and those traces extend beyond my consciousness, stretching far from the distant east. In other words, Kim Young-hoon had reached here incredibly fast, from dozens of li outside my domain of consciousness, unnoticed even by Yunwei, who holds the consciousness of the four-axis stage. I can hardly grasp how much he has grown, and I want to face him immediately. But there's no time for that. I roughly explain our situation to Kim Young-hoon. Is that so? After a while, Kim Young-hoon, having listened to my story, nods. So, you're saying that heavenly tribulation is lightning striking down from the sky? I've heard something like that while beating up those cultivator bastards. So it's powerful enough to scare even someone as formidable as you? Yes. Good. Then I'll help too. Kim Young-hoon cheerfully offers his help, placing his hand on the hilt of his blade, and sits down nearby. Then just say the word when it comes down. After finishing his words, Kim Young-hoon closes his eyes. I swallow hard looking at him. And Yunwei, seeing Kim Young-hoon, seems to realize something frightening and tries her best not to meet his eyes. Though he is helping us, she doesn't seem keen on being with Kim Young-hoon. Oh, and about that offering whatever? That thing. Kim Young-hoon speaks while watching me divide the sacrificial offering between Yunwei and John Myung-hoon. I'll take part in that too. Include me. What? I speak, startled. This could be lethal. And, Young-hoon Hyung-nim, you have no ties with the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, do you? At that, Kim Young-hoon laughs heartily. Golden whatever sect has no relation with me. But, aren't I your colleague? All of us were earnestly making soap together. Now that we've met again, colleagues should share life and death. Kim Young-hoon looks back at John Myung-hoon and then at me as he speaks. Hearing his words, John Myung-hoon wears a dazed expression for a moment, and I laugh, thinking that the Kim Young-hoon I had just met is still very much like the Kim Young-hoons I knew. Yes, let's do that. Eventually, we look up at the sky, waiting for the right moment. Time passes, and 3 hours have elapsed. Finally, kurung, an enormous energy begins to gather in the sky. This is all the ominous misfortune and disaster I had brought about. It's a terrifying force capable of destroying this world. Then, Yunwei speaks out loud. All disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Her voice echoes everywhere. Begin the consoling lightning ritual. Across various locations of Shattered Heaven Peak and the surrounding Great Mountains, the consoling lightning ritual begins. Kagugugu. Yunwei, who had set up formations where the ritual is taking place, activates these formations simultaneously. Spiritual energy of the consoling lightning ritual gathers and surges back towards the summit of Shattered Heaven Peak. Kugugugugu. The energy of the consoling lightning ritual that gathers at the summit passes through John Myung-hoon at the position of heaven, then to me at earth. From me, it flows to Yunwei at the position of man. I beseech the heavens. From time immemorial, we humans have been weak and have always hoped for the mercy of the heavens. We have been swept away by storms, screamed in wildfires, suffered under tsunamis, silenced by heavy snows, and feared heavenly punishment. The humble bodies standing under the heavens now are no different. We rightly fear and revere the heavens, for we are but weak humans. Please, from the position of a humble human, I beseech you, for the sake of the young humans, may you temper your anger and bestow your mercy. As soon as she finishes speaking, Yunwei sends the gathered lightning consoling ritual energy upwards into the sky. Pod. The formless energy that rises to the sky somewhat reduces the ferocity of the heavenly lightning as soon as it touches it. It's working. The power of the heavenly lightning will continue to decrease as long as the consoling lightning tribulation continues. Now what remains is, we all know it, to keep it at bay. Flash. From the sky, a pillar of light plummets down. Quorum. The next moment, Kim Young-hoon steps forward, draws his saber, and looks at me. I wanted to show you this in a direct confrontation, but well, let me show you in advance. Chayak. He assumes his stance. The realm beyond, treading heavens. I grin and nod. Please, do show it. What name have you given that realm? The next moment, I am able to know the name Kim Young-hoon had given it. Beyond the path. Sutsutsu. Kim Young-hoon's entire body is covered in golden radiance. For a moment, he seems to become the golden radiance itself. His martial prowess and treading heavens become one. And beyond that, he infuses his heart into his martial arts. Kim Young-hoon has already reached that realm. As he kicks off the ground of Shattered Heaven Peak and soars towards the sky, he shouts, Shattering Heavens. The name cried out by he who erased even the feeling of an instant as he sliced through the fringes of the heavenly tribulation and vanished into the sky. Shattering heavens beyond the path. This is the realm beyond treading heavens he defined. His own third stage of manifestation. Having reached this realm at Shattered Heaven Peak, I have named it Shattering Heavens. Kim Young-hoon's subtle heart language echoes in my mind. Is that so? It seems you too have ascended to Shattering Heavens. Kim Young-hoon says happily, Come up, and even if we can't spar together, let's cut through the heavenly tribulation together and verify our enlightenment. I smile faintly and respond in heart language. I apologize, but I assume my stance, pulling forth the formless sword, have not reached Shattering Heavens beyond the path. Kurung. The sound of thunderous momentum unmistakably abounds from my body, which should have lost all lightning path methods. The formless sword merged with the power of the immortal beast. And the power of the immortal beast is linked with my power as a member of the Heaven tribe. Heaven, earth, and heart are intricately intertwined. Kim Young-hoon's Shattering Heavens beyond the path is a pure realm of martial prowess. But this is not merely a pure martial art. It rightfully deserves a different name. Sutsutsu. As I infuse my heart into the formless sword, I finally speak the name of the last realm that ends with beyond the path. Tribulating heavens beyond the path. Taat. Juryong. My single sword strike soars higher than Kim Young-hoon, severing the heavenly tribulation. Before, even following Kim Young-hoon's footsteps was difficult. But from the moment I obtained the formless sword, my path diverged from his. Therefore, the path I must follow is also different. He wields Shattering Heavens, and I Tribulating Heavens. Thus we begin to dance a dance to avert destruction, turning our backs to each other within the heavenly tribulation. Chapter 267, Tribulating Heavens, 7. Translator, Translating Novice. Editor, Z0rel. Join the Discord for chapter updates and important news. Heaven and Earth tribe methods, when practiced together, endow one with a strength that surpasses others within the same realm. For instance, the Penglai Palace Lord Han 1, after mastering the Mount Tai Splitting Emperor technique, can exhibit the strength of a late integration stage cultivator even at the early stage. However, mastering the methods of heaven, earth, and heart together allows one to surpass an entire cultivation realm. Even I, at the nascent soul stage, possess the power to defeat those at the heavenly being stage in an instant. Yet, there is something odd. Despite having cultivated the 3 methods of heaven, earth, and heart, I possess the capability to surpass 2 cultivation realms. How is that possible? The answer is quite simple. It is not 3 but 4 heaven tribe, earth tribe, heart tribe, and the Mad Lord. By embedding the Mad Lord's puppetry circuit within my body, my flesh too became a kind of puppet, instantly amplifying my strength. I increased my power with the methods of heaven and earth, multiplied it with the heart method, and then multiplied it once more with the Mad Lord circuits. Such an amplified force allows me to leap 2 realm stages. Quorum. With each strike, the heavenly tribulation is cleaved apart. If Kim Young-hoon is splitting the instant and dividing the heavenly tribulation billions of times in a blink, moving at speeds invisible even to me, I am cutting more in each strike than Kim Young-hoon. Even still, the heavenly tribulation flows downwards, spilling over to John Myung-hoon and Yun-wei. Kururung. John Myung-hoon swallows the heavenly tribulation directly, transforming it into spiritual power and sharing it with me. Yun-wei receives the heavenly tribulation, distributing it through formations to the disciples performing the consoling lightning ritual, ensuring we can withstand the lightning. Kwarung. Despite the relentless battering of the lightning, myself, Kim Young-hoon, John Myung-hoon, and Yun-wei, along with everyone from the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, are resisting with all our might, perhaps to the point where we are truly capable of blocking the heavenly tribulation. Maybe, if things continue this way, we can definitely block it. That's what I believed. 2 days passed in this state. The power of the heavenly tribulation did not diminish. It only grew ever stronger. John Myung-hoon feels like he is going to vomit, but he shows no sign of it. His dantian is filled with spiritual power. His cultivation has already risen to the grand perfection of the heavenly being stage, to the point he could have reached the 4-axis stage if not for the dimensional pressure of the head realm. Still, spiritual power continues to pour into him. Setting aside that he can't fully achieve the 4-axis stage due to the dimensional pressure of the head realm, he still needs to accumulate and stack at least one more layer of spiritual power. A vessel that's already full cannot take in more water. John Myung-hoon continued to deplete his spiritual power using the Red Lightning Heavenly Tribulation method, and he transferred spiritual power to Yun-wei, who then shared it with Seo Eun-hyun. However, the rate at which the spiritual power was being depleted was far slower than the rate at which it was forcibly being filled. And on the second day, Seo Eun-hyun and Kim Young-hoon endure using Foolish Old Man Moves Mountains and Endless Mountains Beyond Mountains, while Yun-wei is bleeding from the 7 orifices. Damn, this body's wavelength. No matter how forcefully she synchronized the frequency, it was hurriedly adjusted against time. The wavelength of the forcibly aligned Yuan-yu began to loosen over time. If she had only made moderate attacks without using her full power, the wavelength might have stayed synchronized longer. But she had to exert all her strength to block the heavenly tribulation. If she holds back, even slightly, the heavenly tribulation would descend on this continent and burn everything. I feel like I'm going to die, but I can't possibly stop. I continue swinging my sword. The moment I stop, it's the end. The moment I hesitate even once with my sword, it will really be the end. John Myung-hoon's body is about to burst from absorbing too much spiritual power, and if he bursts, Yun-wei will also die from the heavenly tribulation. That will be the end for me too, and everyone will be hit by the heavenly tribulation and die. At this moment, I am at my strongest. Tribulating heavens beyond the path matching the heavenly being stage is filling in the other parts of heaven, earth, and puppetry, amplifying the power to an even greater state. But that is my limit. It's gradually subsiding. I've used Foolish Old Man Moves Mountains too much. Any further use means only destruction awaits. I am about to die. If so, there is only one thing left to do. Burn my life to sweep away the heavenly tribulation striking from beyond the heavens. That is what I have to do. I begin to prepare for one annihilation to the near shore. After channeling all my power inside the nascent soul, I will imbue the nascent soul into my sword and unleash it, exploding all that power in a fatal explosion. With this, can it reach the heavens? I asked the formless sword. Cut. That's right, that's enough. If it can cut, that is enough. As long as it can cut. Just when I think so. Splurt. Unexpectedly, the first to fall is Yun-wei. She vomits blood from Yuan Yu's mouth. Kook. At the same time, she fails to hold her position at man any longer and collapses, her soul leaving Yuan Yu and shooting like an arrow towards Yun Jin, who is holding out in the distance. I quickly descend to my spot, kick aside the rolling body of Yuan Yu, and hold the position of Earth. Please come back. I use heart language toward Kim Young-hoon, who is still using the surpassing radiant saber in the sky. Kim Young-hoon then comes to my and John Myung-hoon's side to reposition himself. The three of us gather and push back the heavenly tribulation with all our might. John Myung-hoon devours the heavenly tribulation, counter-attacking with the absorbed power, while I gather all the powers of tribulating heavens, the demon race, the heaven tribe, and the mad lord, preparing the final strike even faster. Kim Young-hoon wields the surpassing radiant saber even more swiftly. Soon, our actions become reflexive where we are already in motion by the time we realize it. But eventually, we have reached our limit. The position of man is empty, as Yun Wei, who is adjusting the consoling lightning ritual, disappeared. The lightning became even stronger. Simultaneously, with her gone and no longer dispersing residual lightning, thick bolts of lightning began to scatter everywhere. Now is this the end? I chuckle bitterly as I look back at Kim Young-hoon and John Myung-hoon. Kim Young-hoon also seems to be preparing for a significant strike like me, but it doesn't seem to be as powerful. Just then, when we have all given up our will to live, a familiar voice reaches my ears. Master, I will help you. Hong Fan. I'm startled to see Hong Fan speaking to me from inside the sealed jade bead. How can you help? And how can you speak from within the seal? I'm reversing the formations of the seal from within. I could have gotten out in a few days, but under the current circumstances, it's impossible. Instead, I'll give you advice. I recall that Hong Fan had always saved me when I was in critical situations. What does it tell me? First, do not let the consoling lightning ritual end. It doesn't have to be just you. Anyone who can precisely operate Qi can take over. I look at Kim Young-hoon. Young-hoon Hyung-him, please come here. I call Kim Young-hoon over and place him in the position of man. John Myung-hoon of heaven. Seo Eun-hyun of earth. Kim Young-hoon of man. The three of us, each stepping into the positions of heaven, earth, and man, stand in place. Kim Young-hoon doesn't entirely oversee the consoling lightning ritual, but just slightly adjusts the energy. Yet soon, changes begin occurring in the three powers formation. Hong Fan. Changes are starting to happen in the three powers. Hong Fan. However, unexpectedly, Hong Fan also seems perplexed. What? What do you mean by that? What? It's when we are both bewildered. Pachichichichichik. Suddenly, through the position of man, the small amount of spiritual power from John Myung-hoon that was continuously transferring to me began to rapidly increase. What? What is this? It's when John Myung-hoon and I are hurriedly alarmed. Kwalung Kurururum. The red lightning heavenly tribulation method that he is emitting begins to shine. At the same time, the characters for red lightning heavenly tribulation appears above his body. And right after that, flash, the characters for extinguishing divine tribulating heavens appear above my own. This isn't because of Hong Fan's advice. I can feel it clearly. I glance down at Shattered Heaven Peak. Yes, Shattered Heaven Peak itself. An entity from 120,000 years ago had left something behind in this Shattered Heaven Peak. That entity is guiding us. The spiritual power that flowed from John Myung-hoon to me is then directly connected to Kim Young-hoon. Why? As I'm puzzled, suddenly, a brilliant light begins to emanate from Kim Young-hoon. What's going on? Both Kim Young-hoon and I are startled by the unexpected event. But the next moment, I doubt my own eyes. Pot. Above Kim Young-hoon's body, the four characters for Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder appear. In a flash, Yang Soo-jin's words cross my mind. Red lightning heavenly tribulation reflects the original fate of Yang Soo-jin. Extinguishing divine tribulating heavens symbolizes his will to twist fate. Golden divine heavenly thunder represents his future success in changing fate. And Yang Soo-jin had desired to exchange his fate with that of another ender. I remember Yang Soo-jin's words that fate is immutable. Maybe. Kagugugu. Shattered Heaven Peak vibrates intensely. Simultaneously, the force that started with the red lightning heavenly tribulation gradually sweeps towards me and then towards Kim Young-hoon. More precisely, it begins to be absorbed by the characters for Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder that appeared above his body. Wawoom. Gradually, the characters for Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder above Kim Young-hoon's body begin to rise and expand into the void. Kagugugu. The characters ascend in all four directions and soon adhere to the sky on all sides, covering the entire territory of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. I then realize, 120,000 years ago, the unfulfilled wish of Yang Soo-jin is being reenacted in a completely different way from what he had originally intended. I don't know what Kim Young-hoon's fate was. There is still a lot unknown about Enders, and why Yang Soo-jin wanted to exchange fates with another is beyond me. From what I had seen of Kim Young-hoon, he had lived quite a miserable life many times. However, Yang Soo-jin had tried to exchange his fate with someone else, and for that, he was willing to sacrifice others to swap with his own fate. But the result is this. The techniques created solely for Yang Soo-jin's own benefit are manifesting in a completely different form, driven only by descendants acting solely for the sake of others. Quorum. As the characters for Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder cover the four corners of heaven and earth, I simultaneously feel the power of the disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect growing stronger everywhere. At the same time, the consoling lightning ritual they are conducting also becomes enormously powerful and surges towards the summit of Shattered Heaven Peak. Hot. The power of the consoling lightning ritual that had ascended to the heavens significantly weakens the power of the heavenly tribulation. But that is not the end. Kagugugu. The spiritual power flowing from John Myung-hoon to me increases. It isn't just a simple increase. It incessantly sweeps in, seemingly trying to channel power to the characters for Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder through me, and I intercept this massive spiritual power midway. It isn't just spiritual power. It's the boundless spiritual power that John Myung-hoon had continuously gathered while enduring this insane baptism of heavenly tribulation. I smile, feeling this staggering amount of spiritual power. I can do it. With this, I can ascend to the heavenly being stage. Kagugugu. I gather strength. In the state of grand perfection nascent soul, I begin to surround my nascent soul with such madness-matching power. And finally, powered by the endlessly flowing strength of John Myung-hoon, I am able to reach a critical point. Finally, today, I have arrived. I will, at the heavenly being stage. At last, the end of the minor boundary. Kagugugu. A tremendous resonance begins to emanate from within my body as I commence my ascension to the heavenly being stage. Chapter 268, Tribulating Heavens, 8. Translator, Translating Novice. Editor, Z0rel. Join the Discord for chapter updates and important news. The stages of the heavenly being stage are as follows. Early heavenly being stage. Will to become an immortal established. Mid-heavenly being stage. Unswayed amidst the heavenly mandate. Late heavenly being stage. Heavenly compliance. Heart's governance. Grand perfection heavenly being stage. Heavenly circle. If the nascent soul takes the form of a baby when first born into the world, from the heavenly being stage, the nascent soul begins to merge with the heaven and earth spiritual energy. That is, it experiences the vicissitudes of the world directly through the heaven and earth spiritual energy. Thus, from the heavenly being stage onward, fundamental changes occur in the form of the nascent soul. The purest form, that of the baby, changes, and it grows according to the life and death cycle of a living being. The early heavenly being stage is called will to become an immortal established, but in fact, it is more accurate to divide it into the transitional, will to become an immortal, and the proper initial stage established. In the will to become an immortal, it is the phase where one is born as a cultivator and sets their heart on cultivating immortality. The form of the nascent soul grows from an infant to a youth. From the established phase onward, the nascent soul becomes solid and large enough to act outside the body without issues, growing from a boy to a young adult. This symbolizes the beginning of the cycle of life and death, with the season of life being spring. The mid-heavenly being stage also divides into the unswayed and amidst the heavenly mandate phases. In the unswayed, the form of the nascent soul fully aligns with the cultivator's true body. It is the time when the cultivator's own vitality reaches its peak. In amidst the heavenly mandate, although the cultivator's vitality decreases slightly from the previous phase, their ability to perceive celestial energy maximizes, and they gain short-term prophetic abilities. Also, the form of the nascent soul grows from a young adult to a mature adult. This symbolizes the transitional period in the cycle of life and death, with life corresponding to the season of summer. The late heavenly being stage. In heavenly compliance, one becomes attuned to the voice of the heavens. This expression is merely figurative, but in reality, it means that the sense of reading celestial energy enhances further. The form of the nascent soul becomes elderly. This represents the season of autumn, in life, where the fruits of one's life are harvested. Heart's governance represents the heart accumulated throughout the heavenly being stage. That is, madness reaches its extremity, and it becomes capable of slightly influencing the celestial energy. With will alone, it can distort natural phenomena, becoming a disaster in itself, and the form of the nascent soul is on the verge of death, representing the end of the season, winter. Thus, throughout the early, mid, and late heavenly being stages, the 4 seasons are completed, and the seasons endlessly cycle. From the Qi refining stage, laying the foundation of cultivating immortality, to the Qi building stage, creating stars, to the core formation stage, painting the sky, to the nascent soul stage, creating morning and night to form a day. In the heavenly being stage, the 4 seasons are created, symbolizing an endlessly flowing cycle. Finally, once the foundation of the cycle is complete, reaching the heavenly circle at the grand perfection of the heavenly being stage. That is, reaching the state of encapsulating the heavens within the body. In other words, completing the heavens as a cultivator is precisely the heavenly being stage. Hence, it is called heaven and man unity, also known as the heavenly being stage, following the heavenly circle achieved through heaven and man unity. In the 4-axis stage, 4 axes are built to create the 4 divine directions, creating the directional bearings of Earth, the circle of heaven, the directional bearings of Earth, the heavenly circle and earthly bearings, through the heavenly being and 4-axis stages, creating the heavenly circle and earthly bearings. One turns oneself into a miniature world. Completing the heavenly circle and earthly bearings through the process of heaven and earth unity is the integration stage. Heaven and earth spiritual energy connects the interior and exterior of the body. At the same time, I realize that I can freely manipulate the surrounding heaven and earth spiritual energy through my will. Let's go. Many cultivators find themselves trapped in the heavenly being stage. It is not a stage that can be resolved by merely consuming a lot of elixirs and mindlessly gathering heaven and earth spiritual energy. No, to be precise, cultivators reach the mid-heavenly being stage relatively easily. This is because it is in the mid-heavenly being stage that they replicate the prime of their lives through the nascent soul. But they do not know. The feeling of reflecting on one's life at the end. The feeling of seeing one's life flash before one's eyes at the moment of death. Due to the excessively long lifespan in the heavenly being stage, most do not understand the autumn and winter of life unless they are nearly at the end of their longevity as old masters of the heavenly being stage. Yunwei might simply look at the magnitude of my madness and declare it's the grand perfection of the heavenly being stage, but that is incorrect. I know. The memories from my childhood. When I reached the peak of my life. When I reflected on my life in its later half. And when I faced the winter of my life just before death. Because I was dying from a cold on a cold winter day, miserably like a civilized man from Earth. That's precisely why I know. Interestingly, the beginning and end of a person's life are very similar. When it's time to die, the body shrinks like that of a baby, and the mind becomes just simple. The only difference is that a baby comes from the womb of a human mother, while an elderly returns to the embrace of Mother Earth. But ultimately, if you think about it, it's the same. All living beings come from the womb of life and return to nature, the source of life. Like so, this world eternally cycles. Womb. A circle is formed within me. At the same time, my nascent soul endlessly changes form from an infant, to a boyish state, to a youthful man, to a mature adult, to an elderly, to a state of death, and finally returns to its original form, the nascent soul in the form of a baby. It cycles. This is the heavenly circle. Womb. With my memories of a mortal reaching the core enlightenment of the heavenly being stage, I feel a strange irony as I draw upon the power of the circle. From behind my head, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth circulates, creating a halo in the shape of a circle. Simultaneously, the heavenly tribulations above in the sky transform, and within them, heavenly tribulations at the level of the heavenly being stage begin to emerge anew. From the nascent soul stage to the heavenly being stage, there are 5 heavenly tribulations. From the early to mid-heavenly being stage, there are 10 tribulations. From mid to late stage, there are 15 tribulations. From late stage to grand perfection, there are a total of 20 tribulations. And I became a grand perfection heavenly being stage cultivator all at once. So, how many heavenly tribulations will fall upon me? Tremendous. Kururum. 50 streams. With blue and golden heavenly tribulations divided. 100? Huh. I chuckle, drawing more and more energy. Having reached the heavenly being stage through the heaven tribes methods just before. Now it's time for the earth tribes methods. The Azure Spirit Starlight Quintessence Great Method begins to roar wildly. The core principles of the Earth Tribe's methods are similar to those of the Heaven Tribe. However, from the Heavenly Being stage, the Earth Tribe's methods begin exploding each cell of the cultivator. Kagugugu. My entire body explodes. Thus, by exploding each cell and resonating the life force of the cells with the nascent soul, the vicissitudes of life are imprinted on the nascent soul from the cells. When the form of life and the process of birth, aging, illness, and death are all imprinted on the nascent soul, similar to the Heaven Tribe, one reaches the stage of heavenly circle and becomes a grand perfection heavenly being stage cultivator. For the Earth Tribe, it's easier. Memories from my mortal days, from when I was old, are clear in my mind. In this soul, the memories of having wrinkly hands filled with age are all too vivid. Kalalak. I grow within the heavenly tribulations, becoming a mature adult, then elderly, and transforming into a form just before death. And then I return to my original form once again. Thus, once more, I replenish my nascent soul with the Earth Tribe's methods. Zawong. Within the circular halo behind my head, demonic power resides. Heaven, Earth, Heart. The three powers have reached the heavenly being stage. Karurum. As I watch the 100 streaks of heavenly tribulations descend upon me, I stretch out my hand. Kioioing. All 100 strands of heavenly tribulation burst at once. I no longer even fear such heavenly tribulations. I feel an inexplicable, endless surge of confidence and power. Piong, Piobiobiobiong. I thrust the colorless glass sword towards the sky. With each thrust, exactly one strand of heavenly tribulation bursts apart. Piong, Piong, Piong. Continuously, over and over. Thrusting and thrusting and thrusting. Piobiobiobiong. Thus, I burst all 100 strands of heavenly tribulation. Now, I am fully a heavenly being. Just when I think so. Wait. Keying. A strange sensation overwhelms my mind. At the same time, I feel the energies of heaven, earth, and heart, which were somewhat intertwined until now, completely merge into one. What is this? The symbol of grand perfection, heavenly being behind my head. Inside the halo, the spiritual power, demonic power, and the energy of the formless sword flows in. Simultaneously, the three powers of heaven, earth, and heart within the circle harmonize perfectly, forming the three great ultimates, Samteguk / Chokyum. I can feel it. At this moment, at the heavenly being stage, the three powers have achieved perfect harmony. At the same time, having attained the three great ultimates, irrespective of the process called cultivation, regardless of what kind of power I have attained, I feel as if I have become myself completely. And at the same time, Karurum. I feel an energy erupting throughout my body like an active volcano. I see. I stop attacking towards the sky. Quajajijik. The characters for Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder emerging from Kim Young-hoon's body strengthened the disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect and enhanced the consoling lightning ritual. The current power of the heavenly tribulations had been reduced from the grand perfection integration stage to the early integration stage. However, even at the early integration level, it surpasses what John Myung-hoon and Kim Young-hoon can handle, and as I stopped countering, the heavenly tribulations gradually began to fall. Co Eun-hyun, what are you doing? Exclamation point. John Myung-hoon yells at me, and Kim Young-hoon seems startled by something as he looks at me. I grasp the starting form. Until now, I've just been foolishly creating new moves for the Severing Mountain swordsmanship. But today, I have grasped a new perfected form of the Severing Mountain swordsmanship. The Severing Mountain swordsmanship to be created from now on will be completed with a total of 36 moves. Severing Mountain swordsmanship. The 29th move. Boundless Tao to the other shore. If the initial move of one annihilation to the near shore is a self-destructive technique that detonates the nascent soul within my sword, the Boundless Tao to the other shore is a technique that fills my sword with the spiritual energy of heaven and earth using the abilities of the heavenly being stage, exploding over 1,000 times per second, and encapsulating all my power within the move using the Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace. Because the explosions of my nascent soul and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth are continuous, it's a life-risking technique that demands I constantly swing my sword to release the explosions of spiritual energy outward, lest my nascent soul shatters from the explosive energy. A sword dance that absolutely cannot stop until it exhausts all the chi in my body besides life force. From now on, 7 more forms. Now that I've created the Boundless Tao to the other shore, filling in 7 more moves will complete the sword techniques of the Severing Mountain swordsmanship. I look forward to that moment, channeling all the energy bursting forth like an active volcano from the 3 great ultimates into my sword. The reason I created such a dangerous technique that requires me to constantly wring out all the chi in my body is 1. Rest easy, both of you. The power erupting from the 3 great ultimates is like that of an active volcano, making it feel as if my entire body might explode. Boom. Through the 22nd move of Severing Mountain, I continuously perform my sword dance. Sururum. Upon swinging the sword once, an energy surges forward as if it could split the heavens, akin to the sword of the heaven-splitting emperor. Quagwagwagwang. The sword energy seems to cleave the sky itself, colliding with the heavenly tribulations. The majority of the descending heavenly tribulations are blocked by this strike and cease to fall any further. I continuously perform the sword dance. Quang Quang Jung. With flashes of light, the heavenly tribulations gradually begin to dissipate. However, I do not stop. At this moment, I am like an active volcano. Power seems to endlessly erupt, as if infinite. Carrying the 3 great ultimates on my back, I continue to ceaselessly unfold the Severing Mountain technique. Kururum. Gigantic sword energies fly, creating dozens of spatial rifts in the sky. With each swing of my sword, the sky literally splits, utterly shattering the heavenly tribulations into pieces. Transcending peaks, entering mountain, ascending vein, flowing ridge. Layered mountains, mountain tiger. Endless mountains beyond mountains. Foolish old man moves mountains. Sea of righteousness and mountain of grace. One annihilation to the near shore, guiding to the summit. Vajra, 12,000 peaks. Boundless Tao to the other shore. A myriad of sword moves continue, all combined into one strike. Severing mountain. Flash. The tip of the sword blazes through the air, pouring out all forms at once. Simultaneously, the sword strike becomes a ray of light, turning into a sword wind even greater than the heavenly tribulations, and begins to devour them. Kagugugu. The sight of the heavenly tribulations being shattered feels almost surreal. Phew, I still feel an overflow of energy. It seems as if the heavenly tribulations have surely vanished. But I can tell. The malice left by the owner of heavenly punishment will not end with just this. There's still some left. In the sky, I can see the celestial energy twisting. As long as this celestial fate, this heavenly mandate remains, heavenly tribulations will continue to target us. Kururum. As if to prove my thoughts correct. From the sky where I had swept away the heavenly tribulations, celestial energy fluctuates again, producing more heavenly tribulations. John Myung-hoon, Young-hoon Hyungnim. I will deliver the final strike. I speak to them with fiery eyes. With that, I'll try to handle the celestial energy, so please just block those heavenly tribulations a bit. Well, let's give it a try. John Myung-hoon, overwhelmed by the volcanic power emanating from me, falters in his words, while Kim Young-hoon chuckles and nods. Tut. Both of them leap towards the heavens, and each deliver a strike towards the falling heavenly tribulations. Kururum. Simultaneously, the heavenly tribulations are split. But I furrow my brow suddenly. The heavenly tribulations are behaving strangely, as if they are alive, moving and avoiding John Myung-hoon and Kim Young-hoon. I chuckle wryly. It's them. Although they haven't pursued us to the head realm, I can feel it. The owner of heavenly punishment. No, Zhongli. That is definitely Zhongli's malice. The intricate movements of lightning energy are very similar to how Zhongli manipulated the electrical currents in the brain. There is no doubt. Indeed, Zhongli's malice is melting into the heavenly tribulations, aiming not at us, who are strong, but rather falling away towards the relatively weaker disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. John Myung-hoon is taken aback, but by then, the heavenly tribulations are already falling. Just as I'm about to give up the final strike and sweep the surroundings once more. Wawoom. A massive Taiji symbol emerges in the sky, blocking Zhongli's scattering malice from falling in all directions. Kagugugu. Along with that, in the direction from which Yun Wei's soul had been ejected, she emerges. Wapa. She, embodying Yun Jin, bleeds from the 7 orifices as she blocks the dispersed heavenly tribulations in all directions. But in the next moment, the heavenly tribulations move as if alive again, this time focusing on Yun Wei. The Taiji symbol she summoned crumbles, and she is exposed to the heavenly tribulations. Pajijik. Flash. Red lightning and golden radiance flash beside me, and Kim Young-hoon and John Myung-hoon arrive next to me. John Myung-hoon speaks. Co Eun-hyun, please. Say you're ready. John Myung-hoon. I look at him. Then, I turn to Kim Young-hoon. Young-hoon Hyungnim. Grinning, I say, first, let's save that person over there, then go for the final blow. Having heard the plan through heart language, Kim Young-hoon nods. All right. Okay, then let's go. The next moment, Kim Young-hoon, having understood my intent, becomes a beam of light and grabs both John Myung-hoon and me through the napes of our necks. Whoosh. Kim Young-hoon turns into light. As if time had been sliced away, John Myung-hoon and I find ourselves inside the heavenly tribulation, having been seized by Kim Young-hoon. Go. Within, Kim Young-hoon infuses the energy of the surpassing radiant saber into our bodies and throws us upwards, towards where Yun Jin is. But the heavenly tribulation is striking down from above, and we need to ascend. No matter how much we are enveloped by the surpassing radiant saber, we eventually start to halt. John Myung-hoon. I speak through heart language, looking at him. Go. I interlock my fingers above me, and recognizing my intent, John Myung-hoon's eyes light up. Thank you. Crack. John Myung-hoon steps on my clasped hands, and after I envelop his body with the formless sword, I fling my clasped hands upward. The recoil sends me plummeting downward, falling even below Kim Young-hoon. John Myung-hoon ascends with the sword enveloping his body and reaches Yun-wei. This time, I won't let anyone die. His eyes are fiercely bloodshot. Never. Not anyone. John Myung-hoon, holding Yun-wei tightly, shouts with a frenzied look. I won't let anyone touch my family. Crackle. With that, the red lightning surging from John Myung-hoon's entire body turns into 6 hands, devouring the heavenly tribulation falling towards him and Yun-wei. Kururung. The heavenly tribulation is completely absorbed by John Myung-hoon. It's a strange sight, all the tendrils of the massive heavenly tribulation being consumed solely by John Myung-hoon. However, the heavenly tribulation that I had once eradicated is now showing itself again, slightly weakened. The energy of the heavenly tribulation begins to rise again. And below, I summon the energy I had been preparing all this time. The power of destruction I had been endlessly accumulating through foolish old man, moves mountains, emits a dark aura of death. This deathly aura resonates with the Een Soul Ghost incantation. Hong Fan had described my curse as a poison, and Zhongli said that if the spirit is raised to the plane of fate, the curse wouldn't affect it. That means a curse raised to the level of fate will work, and the calamity of the extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique is a kind of fate-level curse. And it's a poison affecting fate. What is poison? Poison is excess. In this world, there's no such thing as poison per se. Only excess and deficiency exist, and all things excessive become poison. This includes common poisons, bacteria, medicines, sugar, salt, and even oxygen. Excess becomes poison. This is true for qi as well. And to cultivators, who gather spiritual energy from heaven and earth beyond normal living beings, from the perspective of the heavens, they are a powerful poison requiring purification through heavenly tribulation. But has this ever been considered? To the heavens, we are poison. But, to us, the heavens could also be poison. If concentrated power is poison, prompting purification through heavenly tribulation, why can't we purify this overwhelmingly powerful force called fate? Heavens above. Kagugagu. I activate the extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique. But this time, it is different from the original extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique. If the original extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens used a sacrificial offering to move celestial energy and invoke heavenly calamity, this extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique uses the heavens as the sacrificial offering, making me the calamity striking the heavens. Will become your tribulation. Of course, this can only be symbolic. Whether I use the heavens as a sacrifice and declare myself as the calamity, I ultimately have no power over the heavens. I am but an insect before the heavens. But that is enough. As a result of the ritual, at this very moment, the plane of fate has opened. Just this one moment. Take this. Just this one instant. Tribulating heavens beyond the path. The formless sword transcends the plane, reaching the plane of fate in this fleeting instant. I soar into the sky, past Kim Young-hoon, past John Myung-hoon embracing Yun-jin, and as the tribulation to the heavens, I tear through space while ravaging away the heavenly tribulation. I feel as if all the volcanic energy filling my body is exhausted in this one strike. Exclamation point. Indescribable pain fills my entire body. Please, please. A strike akin to a gamble. Indeed, can a mortal body that has sacrificed everything truly reach the plane of fate? But then, crackle. Suddenly, I am surrounded by a 7-colored lightning. I see a vision of a shadow, crying tears of blood, pushing its hand out towards me from beyond shattered heaven peak. In the next moment, I feel as if something pushes my back, and I enter somewhere. Kagugagu. Despite my entire body bursting apart, I ascend. With all the destructive force gathered through foolish old man moves mountains and pouring out all my curses, I hone my will sharply to become poison and cast tribulation upon the heavens. Finally, I reach an indescribably vast and massive world, and see it facing the source of the heavenly tribulation. I swing. Flash! Exclamation point. Whoosh! As I come to my senses, I realize I am falling from the sky, without a single ounce of strength left in my entire body. Falling in such a state, I look at the heavens and smirk. Fate! Do you see it, O heavens? This lowly being has been cut through by me. Whoosh! I have defeated you. Now that I have wrung out all the strength in my body, if I fall like this, I will surely die. But I'm not worried about dying a miserable death from falling. Seo Eun-hyun, Kim Young-hoon and John Myung-hoon both simultaneously fly to catch me as I fall, bringing me down to shattered heaven peak. It's over. Blood-soaked, I look at the sky and smirked. The sky is split in all directions, filled with spatial rifts due to my sword strike. But between the rifts, the celestial energy has returned to normal. As I look at the sky, Yun-wei, nestled against John Myung-hoon's side, squirms. Ugh. Where's this? John? No, senior brother Jean Myung-hoon. However, it seems Yun Wei fell back asleep, and it's Yun Jin who woke up. Yun Jin looks up at John Myung-hoon and says, senior brother. I'm sorry, but could you put me down? Suddenly looking down at Yun Jin, John Myung-hoon begins to cry. He sets Yun Jin down and suddenly embraces him. Kwa. A scream mixed with grief, wrath, and relief. These mixed emotions burst forth from the depths of John Myung-hoon. Wawa. Who hua? Son, senior brother? Yun Jin seems flustered but manages to comfort John Myung-hoon, who continues to shed hot tears, shouting at me. Seo Eun-hyun. What is it? I'm sorry. Drip, 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 drip. Once again feeling as if the sect had been destroyed, John Myung-hoon endlessly cries out, I'm sorry, Seo Eun-hyun. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And these apologies are not just directed at me. They are apologies meant for his family that he couldn't protect, who had died. At the same time, they are apologies for not having trusted me. For a while, he just buries his face in Yun Jin's chest, sobbing like that. Still, there are many unresolved emotions remaining. I watched John Myung-hoon's intent for a while and then sighed deeply. Despite the heavenly punishment being over, human emotions remain. John Myung-hoon. His intent is bleak. Crimson, red, dark blue. A terrible vortex of negative intents all mixed together, a horrifying abyss. Probably, anyone else seeing this abyss wouldn't dare to comfort him. They wouldn't even know how to begin. But I calmly opened my mouth. It's not your fault. Whether that is true or not. I remember the time when I lost everything to Yuan Li, seeing John Myung-hoon on the verge of entering the same abyss I had. Perhaps I might be the only one here who can understand his rage. It's not your fault. I spit out a mouthful of blood and chuckle wryly. It's just the world that's messed up, that's all. So, I continue, looking at John Myung-hoon's intent. Forgive. John Myung-hoon, forgive yourself. When a person is consumed by anger, by madness and pain, I know best how miserable it makes them, which is why I dare to offer this comfort. And then, John Myung-hoon's intent begins to calm down. Slowly, he lifts his head, gradually. And quietly, he responds. You can't understand my feelings. I know. People cannot understand each other, no matter how close they are, or even if they experience the same events. Because they are others, they cannot become oneself. But still, he lifts his head while tears stream down his face. Thank you. Crack. He embraces Yun Jin even tighter, his face distorted with tears, and says, Thank you, really thank you. Really thank you. Yun Jin coughs as if it's hard to breathe, but John Myung-hoon holds on without caring, and Kim Young-hoon laughs heartily watching him. What does that thank you mean? Thanking me, or thanking me, Yun Jin, and everyone in the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect for living, or thanking his own situation. There could be various meanings, but what does it matter? Yeah. After responding to him, covered in blood, I smile and close my eyes. We thus overcame the fate imposed by the owner of heavenly punishment. That's enough. Seo Eun-hyun, don't die. Wait, Deputy Seo? That is my 18th return. Seo Eun-hyun, don't die. No, wait. Or so I thought. Splurt. I vomit blood and retort. I'm not dead yet. Cough, cough. Somehow, I have a feeling this life is going to be a long one. With that premonition, I smile and lose consciousness, the last thing I see being the two of them running towards me in shock to check on me. Kurung. This is a place where an ender who has not realized their fate reaches through a miraculous probability. I open my eyes. A space filled with 7-colored lightning. There, I open my mouth while looking at a familiar afterimage. Yang Soo-jin. Translator notes. The three great ultimates is also known as Samtaeguk or Geikyeol. If you search it up, it's basically the Taiji diagram, but with 3 colors instead of 2. The Samtaeguk consists of blue representing the heavens, the red representing the earth, and the yellow representing humans. The Geikyeol is more deeply related to Tibetan and Eastern Asian Buddhism. Chapter 269, Heavenly Being Stage, Tenshi. Translator, Translating Novice. Editor, Z0rel. Join the Discord for chapter updates and important news. Chapter 269, Heavenly Being Stage. I find myself in a space filled with 7-colored lightning. At its center, I gaze upon a shadow shedding tears of blood. Did I shout Shattered Heaven back then? Thinking back, it seems likely since I was causing trouble atop Shattered Heaven Peak. Amidst the frantic confusion, I spoke swiftly, cursing at Kim Young-hoon and John Myung-hoon. Well, putting that aside, I recall the last time I used the Extinguishing Divine Tribulating Heavens technique. Certainly, I saw the afterimage of Yang Soo-jin, and as he reached out his hand, I felt pushed and managed to slice through fate. Was it you who helped me? Yes. At the bottom of the netherworld, I faced the remnant you left behind and received the transmission of the Extinguishing Divine Tribulating Heavens technique. Is that so? I look at him and ask. I must tell you one thing. I am very negative about your non-human theory, and I do not agree with it. If we follow your theory, then the beings called Enders, who follow fate, are no different from non-humans, right? Indeed. I feel something strange in his oddly enlightened tone. Drip, drip. The bloody tears from the shadow's eyes begin to grow thicker. The remnant you met was created before I faced. He was overconfident and deluded into thinking he could achieve anything at that time. I shudder at the profound despair emanating from the afterimage of Yang Sujin. Because I spoke out my fate, I thought there was no chance in the final battle with, and wanted to change fate. Of course, I knew it was impossible, but I thought I had a chance if I could seize the domain of heavenly punishment. However, I was wrong. The crimson tears from the remnant of Yang Sujin grows more numerous, gradually staining his dark body red. You are right. There is a severe contradiction in my non-human theory. His next words make me shudder. We are nothing more than non-humans ourselves. We are mere toys, less than dust. Everything we have built is meaningless. Sururu. The completely crimson remnant of Yang Sujin begins to scatter. Later generation, be careful with the fate you've received. Keep silent about the miracles you can cause. Hide the gifts you have received from the world. Among the governing immortals, there is only one you can trust. With each word he utters, the remnant of Yang Sujin gradually scatters, and eventually, completely dissipates into the air. If you carelessly speak of matters related to fate, even the last speck of hope will be crushed. Do not follow in my footsteps. With those final words, Yang Sujin completely vanishes. I watch his end and close my eyes. Blink. When I open my eyes, an unfamiliar ceiling is above me. It seems like a cave. Unexpectedly, there is a significant amount of heaven and earth spiritual energy in the atmosphere for the head realm. Sururuk. As I get up, the soft blanket flows off my body. It appears that someone had prepared bedding in this cave-like place and laid me down. Not only that, but the cave is filled with spiritual herbs and elixirs, and beneath the bed, a formation that boosts vitality is spread out. Feeling a strange familiarity, I gather my consciousness. Wawoom. A vast domain of consciousness bursts forth from my upper dantian. Kagugugu. The intent of a heavenly being has power in itself. Thus, just by expanding the domain of consciousness, heaven and earth tremble, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth begins to stir. Within a radius of 200 li, everything becomes clear as if it's held in my hand. This is the expanse of the consciousness domain of a grand perfection heavenly being that I have achieved. And as soon as I expand my realm of consciousness, I know where this place is. Ascension Path. It's the cave where my colleagues and I had first stayed. It seems I was brought here because Ascension Path is the place in the head realm where the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is thickest. Wawoom. As I rise from the bed, I feel the life-enhancing formation hum and send a signal somewhere. It seems like John Myung-hoon and other disciples from the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect had set this up. Well, I'll know if I wait. I get up and walk out of the cave. It really has been a long time. I remember the time when I first met the 3 cultivators at the Heavenly Being stage in front of this cave. Now, I have successfully reached the same realm as those Heavenly Being stage cultivators back then. What would happen if I went back to that time now? Perhaps I would have intimidated them and taken my colleagues away, claiming them as my disciples. Swish. I quietly raise one hand towards the sky. With my finger, I trace a line towards the heavens. Kagugugu. At the same time, the spiritual energy vibrates, and the celestial phenomenon changes by my will. Wawoom. It was as if lightning had struck when Jean Byuk-ho was enraged. At my wish, dark clouds began to billow in the sky exactly in the shape I had traced with my finger. SSSSHHHHHH. This is the realm of heaven and man unity. Merely by desire, rain falls, and I can freely manipulate the forces of nature. Crash. When I clench my fist, the dark clouds filling the sky swell in size and soon spread throughout the entire ascension path, beginning to sprinkle rain. SSSHHH. In an instant, rain falls everywhere in ascension path, and heavy rain begins to pour. Surururu. As I spread my hands and lower my arms, the rain turns into sleet and then transforms into pristine white snow, coloring ascension path. I rise into the air amidst the snowstorm. Flight in the core formation stage is a type of technique that lightly manipulates the spiritual energy of heaven and earth around the golden core. But from the heavenly being stage onwards, it feels as if the spiritual energy of heaven and earth naturally lifts me as soon as I will it. No spiritual power is consumed. I fly up into the sky, reaching above the dark clouds. Kagugugu. Gradually the blizzard intensifies, and soon it becomes a dragon's ascent, watersprout, wreaking havoc across various parts of ascension path. Wawoom. A circular halo appears behind my head. Although it does not bring forth the 3 great ultimates, Purely the power of a heavenly being of the heaven tribe is so formidable. Kagugagu. As I wave my hand, even without forming any special seals, whirlwinds multiply into dozens and spread throughout Ascension Path. As I spread my arms, the whirlwinds scatter and disappear. However, the sky churns and thunder roars from various areas. The sky is covered with a sea of lightning. Following that, hail falls, and a tidal wave surges, dropping water beneath Ascension Path. I command the celestial phenomenons at will from above Ascension Path, waving my arms. And at that moment, boom, as I clench my fist, a gale blows, pushing all the celestial phenomenons outside Ascension Path, clearing it away. This is the heavenly being stage, the realm of resonating with celestial phenomenon through will, where the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and consciousness unite, with the size of the consciousness becoming power itself. From the heavenly being stage, one can manifest the attributes of the methods they have practiced into celestial phenomenons. A cultivator who has mastered the earth attribute method can induce earthquakes and tsunamis. A cultivator who has mastered the water attribute method can bring about rain and heavy snow. A cultivator who has mastered the fire attribute method can cause droughts and wildfires. A cultivator who has mastered the wood attribute method can summon lightning and promote the growth of forests. A cultivator who has mastered the metal attribute method can control storms and magnet force. Such celestial phenomenons can be summoned and pulled forth at will by heavenly being cultivators, and they call this manipulation of celestial energy guidance. The Mad Lord tried to strangle Yuan Li from thousands of li away using the same principle, turning a curse into a celestial phenomenon and directing it at Yuan Li. Furthermore, which attribute is emphasized becomes crucial in the late nascent soul stage due to such attribute-specific control. However, due to the effects of the 5 surpassing paths to cultivation and the 5 elements enduring origin scripture, I can guide all 5 elemental attributes through celestial energy guidance. Even common members of the demon race can guide all 5 elements of celestial energy. They are not specialized compared to the cultivators of the heaven tribe. Only a few demon beasts born with immortal beast lineage are specialized in the attributes governed by their immortal beast lineage. But those not born with immortal beast lineage often chose to infinitely strengthen their bodies through celestial energy guidance. But since I have learned all 5 elements through the methods of the heaven tribe, all 5 are as specialized as those of the heaven tribe cultivators, while also being as versatile as those of the earth tribe cultivators. This alone significantly differentiates me from typical heavenly being stage cultivators. If I mix in the power of tribulating heavens and draw the 3 great ultimates, and even use the puppetry circuits on top of that, just how powerful could I become? I realize that even I do not fully understand the extent of my power. This is something I'll have to figure out over time. I check my condition and look behind me. Crackle, sizzle. Are you awake? You've recovered, then? Suddenly, Kim Young-hoon and John Myung-hoon had flown over and were looking at me. I grin and nod my head. Yes, I slept well. I thought you were a goner. It was tough forcing the disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect to raid nearby cultivator clans to make medicine from spiritual herbs to shove down your throat. You were the one who shoved it in. No, I had Yunjin do it. Duh. Then why is he taking the credit? I glance at John Myung-hoon, clicking my tongue, and then look at Kim Young-hoon. It seems my body has somewhat recovered. Kim Young-hoon grins and reaches for his scabbard. Well, honestly, there's no need for long talks, right? Duh. Of course. My hand is itching to draw the formless sword and swing it at Kim Young-hoon. But I suppress my desire and ask, there's one thing I need to confirm. What is it? Last time, Young-hoon Hyungnim, you mentioned the realm of shattering heavens beyond the path. Is that correct? That's right. But, Yunwei's reaction at that time. And, now that I see it with my own eyes, it's even clearer. I swallow hard and ask, you're not just shattering heavens beyond the path, are you? Duh. Kim Young-hoon seems to pause in silence for a moment, then smiles faintly. It's a smile of affirmation. Chill. I feel goosebumps rise on my skin. Yes, this is the Kim Young-hoon I know. The reason Yunwei was terrified when she saw Kim Young-hoon back then, and the strange sense of unease I feel from him now, and the golden pung I saw during our descent to the lower realm. When everything is combined, only one conclusion emerges. Young-hoon Hyungnim, you are beyond shattering heavens, a realm that someone I know calls one step before the throne. And the current you, that is, the you who overcame the heavenly tribulation with us at Shattered Heaven Peak, was not your true self, but an avatar, right? Huh? What are you talking about? John Myung-hoon, failing to understand, alternates his gaze between Kim Young-hoon and me. I can feel it. When the heaven collapsing esteemed one Jang Ik was in the lower realms, he traversed vast distances across space and time through his cultivation, dispatching his avatar. The current Kim Young-hoon is an avatar that has reached the same one step before the throne as the one Jang-ik had created. And the golden pung bird we saw while descending to the lower realm was indeed the true body of Kim Young-hoon, who was ascending at that time. I feel a thrilling chill throughout my body and chuckle. How on earth? How did you reach that realm? Kim Young-hoon chuckles as well. Golden radiance faintly glints in his eyes, reflecting my image. My expression, somehow, is one of intense excitement. Yes, it's similar to the smile Kim Young-hoon is pulling up at the corners of his mouth right now. Do you want to know? Cholkik. He places his hand on the hilt of his blade. I draw the colorless glass sword from my mouth and reply. Of course. Is there a need for words? I shake my head. With an exhilarated expression, Kim Young-hoon grips his saber and says, I'll show you. The next moment, the surpassing radiant saber and the colorless glass sword clash, tearing through the instant. Translator notes, Kim Young-hoon exceeds all our expectations again.